that it wasn't out yet. And that's concerning as it is. Like, that shouldn't be the case. Oh, Eytan's spicy today. Get ready.
Hey, welcome in. It is a Tuesday. I can't wait to get across the NBA slate. Look at that. He even caught me on camera doing the countdown. That's my fault because he's giving me the countdown. Jordan, of course, producing. Eric Lindquist can't wait to talk. Go ahead. I see your face. Go ahead.
So you're being sarcastic and snooty to me. I was upset. I was waiting for the Golden State injury report all freaking day because I was like, there's got to be something going on here. Otto Porter continuing to be out. Gary Payton is going to be out. Andre Iguodala out. So you have no Klay, no Wiggins, no Steph that are now or that are in. We didn't have word on them. You assumed that all three were going to be in, but it was all the back half of the guys that we wanted to talk about. Gary Payton continuing to be out. Otto Porter continuing to be out. And Andre Iguodala continuing to be out. That's big news.
That is big news. There's huge news to take advantage of clearly in that game across the board as well. That's why you're here. I'm here as well to help. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up button, please. If you're hanging with us, you haven't already, subscribe. What's going on here? The Odd Shopper channel as well. That community is booming as we have new daily content put up each and every day from the NBA across the board, college hoops, golf, everything that you need on the Odd Shopper channel. We'll be referencing it throughout this show, of course, Locks Before Lock. All right, my friend. So we've got, a couple of games to dive into, 6 games on the slate tonight from a gambling standpoint. Brooklyn at Charlotte, super high total here. This was at 3 when it opened, and it's shot up now to 4.5. Really like the Nets to win this game. 4.5 is a little dicey. I know the line has moved, so maybe there's some value there. I don't hate it at 4.5. I absolutely loved it at 3. And then getting to that super high total with as much as we know Charlotte likes to launch shouldn't be that difficult. So any 4-star plays here and to open things up for you?
Yeah, I've got a 3.5 star. We'll get very precise with this one. LaMelo Ball over 1.5 steals in this spot. It's at plus 145, which is very strange to me. Twofold. One, he averages 1.5 on the season. So you'd think, all right, mentally even money. Brooklyn, not going to exactly be a slow matchup, 240.5 total, mainly because of Charlotte, but still, it's not a below average game script for Charlotte. So why is that happening? Secondly, he used to have Ish Smith there for half of the season and actually competent backup, and now no James Bouknight. It's just, there's nobody else that's going to be really out there playing his minutes or pushing him for minutes. So as long as he's out of foul trouble, I don't see why he wouldn't be on the court a bunch. We know he can get those steals at 1.5 per game. So Odd Shopper hasn't projected 1.7 here. Awesemo projections have that at 1.7. So it's like, I don't see any way around it. It's got an expected win percentage of just 50%. But, when you factor in the 24% expected ROI, it's all systems go here for this bet.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's a really good call right there. And again, if you're looking around thinking, all right, where to attack this game, where to begin, Odd Shopper is a great place to start. Of course, that's a really good spot, especially when you look at returns and all. I was trying to identify somebody other than maybe an obvious play on the Nets and looking maybe at the Andre Drummond rebound market. I did see that pop up on the chat there as well. I'm not willing to take a risk at plus money to go over 10.5. So fading that, you still probably can get Odd Shopper is going to get you 110, 115, depending on when you look at it to go under. So despite where the projection may be, going under 10.5 and fading him as far as what we've seen recently, it's been one of 5-6 games where he's cleared that number. So maybe just laying the 115 to go under Andre Drummond rebounds here would be a good place to start for me on like a 2.75 star play.
Yeah, we'll see kind of how this lineup shakes out. It's very strange, but LaMarcus Aldridge continues to be out. It's been strange, these 2 games, Miami and Boston. Bam Adebayo kind of embarrasses everybody. He's very good at basketball. And then against Boston, you had Al Horford, Robert Williams, 2 pretty much undersized centers that are out there on the floor at the same time. And Andre Drummond had a tough time with them as well. I expect him to possibly get up to around 22 minutes here in this spot, barring foul trouble, which he had against Miami and Bam Adebayo. But Nicholas Claxton's been doing pretty well in reserve mode here. He got up to 18 minutes against Boston, actually closed that game. There's a lot of ways that can fail, so I don't mind taking the under on that one. Just definitely going to be prioritizing the LaMelo Ball assist one from this one. And there's not a whole lot else that's going to be a smash from this game.
Look, you can attack Charlotte, we know, has volume when it comes to launching threes here against this Nets team as well. So if you wanted to, look, you're going to get plus money to go over 3.5 for Rozier. I understand that. I think where you're better served is using a 3+ Rozier play in a same game parlay if you identify somebody else you like in this game. And for me, it's a guy who I know I can count on with volume, and that would be Oubre at over 2.5. That's at even money alone. So that same game parlay gets me to plus 191. Seth is another one on the Nets. I don't know how you stand on the Nets as far as playing. Kyrie Irving seems like a letdown waiting to happen as far as threes are concerned. Durant, I don't know if you can count on the volume. If I were going to look at least at the 3-point props real quick before we move on, it would be somewhat on ball because I know I could get volume going over 2.5, playing that 3+ with Rozier, and then Oubre. All right, so screw it. Let's do it. Rozier 3+,
no.
Oubre 3+, ball over 2.5 is plus 533. Lock it up.
God. See, my big issue with Rozier is that since for over a month now, since February 4th, he's only attempted more than 11 once. And 11 is kind of a benchmark number because he shoots around 37.5% from three on the season. I want to see somebody. I mean, he's basically saying, all right, we're going to hit 3 or more here in this spot. 3 for 10, that's kind of like a benchmark number. Obviously that would be a very poor shooting night for the most part, but at least if you're getting the volume there, awesome. The attempts have actually been down of late. He's been shooting the ball very efficiently, 6 of 8, 5 of 9. So it looks pretty good in the box score here, but a lot of ways against Brooklyn where, there's just going to be a little bit more emphasis on him there. But in the same way that I like Ball because he's going to be on the floor there a lot more. Same thing with Rozier. I mean, Isaiah Thomas is not there to play minutes. Cody Martin will be backing both of them up here, as well as Kelly Oubre coming in that second unit. So I don't mind if you want to just say this game shoots out, goes to 255. What does that look like? Obviously, I think Rozier, Ball, Oubre probably all made it rain a little bit, but not going to be like a thing you want to be over investing in.
All right, let's look at the Cavs at Indy here. 223.5, that total. Cavs laying 3. We know Jaron Allen out, so you can attack that from a couple of different angles here. And again, Odd Shopper is constantly going to be updated based off of our own projections on Awesemo. So if you're unsure of how to play it with an injury that comes down, it's great to just go back up there. And, looking at a couple from just an Odd Shopper standpoint here, the market and rebound, you are laying 145 on that, but that is a hell. If you are trying to build a same game parlay, that is a hell of an X-win percentage there at 3/4 of a chance that he's going to stay below that rebound prop.
Yeah, it's a beautiful number to be looking at with no Jared Allen, which we're going to have for the foreseeable future. Obviously, on the next couple shows, we're going to be talking a lot about this front court and Lauri Markkanen a part of it, but Kevin Love is going to be on the floor a lot more. He has the highest rebound rate on the entire team at 18.2% in 770 minutes with Jared Allen off the floor. Kevin Love will be out there a lot more. That is going to really depreciate the numbers that we're going to have for Lauri Markkanen going forward. 10.9% rebound rate. That would be great if you could X out Kevin Love existing there. But Kevin Love, going back to his time in Minnesota, then into Cleveland, he has always been a stat stuff guy whenever he gets minutes. That is kind of the prevailing issue here. So you're looking at that 18% rebound rate. And it just makes it really hard to want to look at Lauri Markkanen. 7.5 rebounds is too many. I really like your take as far as combining it with a single game parlay because minus 145, I know a lot of you guys aren't exactly sitting out there wanting to put up, $145 to win 100 here in some of these spots. I know that's why the single game parlays really stick out, but I do think that this is a really nice addition to the card and rightfully so. And Odd Shopper showing that.
We should mention the guy who's right next to you if you are sorting, and I'm in PA, of course, so it depends on what state you're in, and that's the beauty of Odd Shopper is whatever state you're in where you can legally place a wager, you're going to be able to do this, but I have it sorted by ROI, and the guy right next to it is Buddy Hield, where this is a pretty significant gap for this type of prop, Eric, where Awesemo has him projected for essentially 3.9 for three-pointers. The number is 2.5. You're laying 165. That's the best return. So if you wanted to combine the two, you might be able to do that right there.
See, this is kind of what I'm thinking about with some of these 3.1s. I think if you could make Rozier if you can make him 2, if you can make Buddy Hield 2, if you can make Klay Thompson 2.5, which I just bet, by the way, I was shuffling through trying to see if I could find any Moody and Jordan Poole props. Welcome to the prop game, everybody. With the reaction to Otto Porter being out here, I think those guys might see some extra minutes. I don't think Klay Thompson's going to go out and play 36, but I think finding like 3 or 4 of those numbers that feel really secure for volume and taking them all at like -200, -300 and combining them together for those single game parlays, I think I'm a little bit more inclined to do that, lay some heavier juice. And, with Buddy Hield, he has been playing massive minutes. He's never been a guy who's super active defensively. So in terms of foul trouble, he's never really in it. And that makes it really nice to know that you're probably getting 7 to 14. I would say there's upwards of 14 shot attempts available for him here. Are Brogdon and Halliburton next to him going to be phenomenal for his prospects going forward to go out and have a 30% usage? No, but most of his attempts are coming from 3. We all know that. So I think that we want to kind of be looking at Buddy Hield. If you can get that number, 2.5 and kind of building from that -150, that is a great addition to a single game parlay.
Yeah, and by the way, Rozier 2+ is going to be in -850 in that range. So you're going to have to put some work together here. But look, I love it. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to add more to that.
Oh, no, literally just interrupted you. That's all. Continue on.
No, by the way, that 4-leg that you just built, Rozier 2+, LaMelo 2+, Hield 2+, and Klay 2+, that's a 4-leg parlay that gets you +114.
Oh, well, put that together and let me hit the old Venmo transaction button. We will be friends, my friend.
Well, look, you can place a wager where you are, right? I don't need to hold
I'm in California. Absolutely not. I have Prize Picks.
All right, well, then let's do a Venmo.
Prize Picks. I have a limited range of things that I'm allowed to do, but you know what? I do it well.
Yeah, you guys are exactly right. When you talk about all the freedoms you have out there, I mean, my goodness.
Yeah. But in Oregon, you could do meth now, so that'd be more freedom.
Can you legally place a bet?
No, I doubt it. I don't think so. I think you can only play FanDuel in Oregon. I think is what it switched to. I think DK is no longer operational. Don't try to explain what every state does. Nothing makes sense anymore.
That's fine. That's fine. Look, let's move it on here. Orlando, this is the tough one. 221 is the total. Phoenix's leg 6.5. Again, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe, not only here, but really the Odd Shopper channel. We're showing you the benefits of how you can use this, especially if you're coming into a game blind, but you want to take advantage of an angle. Well, Odd Shopper's already done the work for you. So begin, my friend. What level star are you attributing to your top play in this game?
Well, here's the thing. Cameron Payne is just undervalued in just about every single aspect. Points, blocks, rebounds. I think across the board, he's already a guy that we're going to be over-invested in DFS. And if you go around the industry, there are people who have projections for Cameron Payne. He's going to be the most popular play on the DFS slate. But I would say, I would just say that flat out, they're under-projecting what he's going to be going forward for this team. That first game, he only played 20 minutes against Portland, but then it's been 32 and 36 since then. That loss to Milwaukee, that's totally understandable. That's going to happen. But this is an Orlando team that is just garbaggio. And sure, they've gotten healthier. Jalen Suggs questionable. This is something where he's going to be a true game time decision considering he did not go through shoot around. So maybe if you get some late reacting news, you can fire some stuff up from the Orlando side. Cole Anthony, though, he's going a little bit over projected. Mo Bamba, his rebounds, he's going a little bit under projected, but nothing that stands out. For me, it's Cameron Payne blocks. It's Cameron Payne points. It's Cameron Payne rebounds, exactly the way that my DFS exposure exists. So if you want, I would recommend, trying to find some kind of a single game parlay there where you can kind of combine some of them. Over on Prize Picks, I can't play more than one of his sides, and I don't have the block side to be able to fire up. Plus 210 means nothing to me playing on Prize Picks. So right. I think if you have a sports bet that if you're able to go put these single game parlays together, I am very bullish on Cameron Payne. You're already going to be investing him in DFS, but I think just isolating some of these numbers, regardless of whether or not he works out optimal, which I hope he does, and we'll get to that on Live Before Lock, where I just don't know how you get away from him today. It just feels like a free square in essence on DraftKings. But Cameron Payne, I'm going to be firing up all of his props wherever I can.
If you attack his PRA individually and you build his over 3.5 boards, over 18.5 points, over 8.5 assists, you're getting a same game parlay 3-leg return at +420. It's not bad.
Love it. Yeah, I think it was like +100 for 8.5 assists as well in a number of spots. So Cameron Payne, he's just an absolute smash today. He's going to be a catalyst. Look at who else has to create for that basketball team. It sure is not going to be Landry Shamet or Aaron Holiday. Mikal Bridges is a catch and shoot guy. Jay Crowder is a catch and shoot guy. Can DeAndre Ayton make moves in the post? Absolutely. But I think people have been undervaluing how good of an asset Cam Payne would be as soon as he got back.
It looks like it might be a sweat here, so I'm not going to put a major star attribution next to it by any means. But Mo Bamba going over his rebound prop, you can get it at plus money thanks to Odd Shopper at 105, plus 105. And I did see that there is a decent gap between where Alex on Awesemo has the projection versus where you can find it for plus money on. And again, I expect this to probably be more of a sweat than not. Maybe it is the matchup that bumps him over, but I think it's worth a shot here. Again, if you're looking at placing it as a unit or maybe taking advantage of it as plus 105, so it's worth a half unit. But this is something I was looking at. There's another Bamba prop I had, but this was something that I was looking at simply just applying Odd Shopper to kind of coming into it blind from Bamba outside of the one that I had at least.
Yeah, we're serious about betting here. And Alex Baker, if you look at his Twitter, and first of all, I can't believe Twitter's free sometimes, but if you go to some of his NBA props that he has listed for today, looking at some of them that he's firing up, if you go back and look at some of his media and see recently, he put up a spreadsheet of all of the overs and unders on all of these props that he's been betting constantly. He puts literally his money where his mouth is. And, Mo Bamba just sets up so nicely in terms of a guy that is going to be a boom bust option. I think on FanDuel is probably the only spot that I'm even considering him from a DFS angle. How it pertains to sports betting, though, is that even if you were to just have 8 rebounds and nothing else, you were looking at profiting. And, if he's going to be on the floor for 20 minutes, I think there's paths with him, even alongside Wendell Carter, where he can fall into some of those stats. Now, whether or not he gets the usage when you add Markelle Fultz and all of these other question marks into the mix here in some of these sample sizes, it's going to be hard for him to get a lot of shot attempts. But in terms of rebounding, I really like isolating that opportunity for him. And that's why we're looking at that prop.
All right, so let's move on. There's nothing else here for me in this game.
Nope.
Is there anything else okay.
Nope.
The Grizzlies hosting the Pelicans. Couple of interesting angles here. Super high total. We're back to that range, over 230 and a half, at least to attack that. Third highest total that we have to work with. So let's start really with the Pelicans and I guess the game itself. And the Pelicans, at least over a decent stretch, have been defending the three really well here. So I was trying to give in to you and your need for an under when it came to these 3-point props because you were just in this huge demand last week. And I felt bad because it came across like I was upset. And I don't want that. I don't want.
Oh, you hate me. Everybody knows you hate me. It's fine.
Yeah, but I don't want it to show. I want it to be one of these deep-seated hatred that is subtle, that comes out in a back shot or sometime.
It's a little Vader daddy issue kind of thing. That's what you want. You want me to have a little daddy issue here. No, I get it.
Under 1.5 threes from Morant is plus money. You could fade every one of these guys. Jackson Jr. would be the better one, but there's the same game parlay for you, right? I'll give in to your plea for unders. Under 1.5 Morant threes, under 1.5 Jackson threes, plus 226. You get your wish, Eric Lindquist.
Look at you. What a guy.
I'm a teammate.
Oh my God. I'm looking here at a number of these spots where Brandon Ingram questionable is like the big question mark we still have on this slate. And I'm going through where I'm capable of playing over at Prize Picks, taking a look at some of that. And, there's no Pelicans listed there other than Jonas Valanciunas, where you have 16.5 points. Now, I have it clicked already in the queue. I have Jackson Hayes 10.5 points clicked in the queue. Because as soon as Brandon Ingram gets ruled out, I want to be able to take advantage of that news. And I think offensively, as DFS players, we can always think about who benefits. So as much as I do like to bet my unders just to make a point once in a while, Eytan, I am definitely in the business of finding the people who score the most fantasy points or the most real points. And I think being able to take advantage of a late news of Brandon Ingram, just have your finger on the trigger ready to go with some of these plays. And if they're listed at your sports books, which some of them, it's really hard to find the lines that don't straddle the middle of it here. Like I'm not looking to get 23.5 points for CJ McCollum either way. Not really a spot to really be isolating over on Prize Picks for me, but looking at Devontae Graham as a guy that you want to take some unders on 2.5. He's just been playing no minutes for this basketball team. But he'll have to play a lot more if they have the opportunity to have Brandon Ingram out. You could see him slide into that starting unit alongside Hayes, alongside Jones, and alongside Jonas Valanciunas, and of course McCollum. So I think there's a lot of paths where they could do different things. Maybe Garrett Temple gets a start and they just keep playing CJ McCollum at the point. But it's more than likely for me going to be Devontae Graham. So I'm just kind of staying away from those props until I have more clarity about Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, it's a really good place to start there. But look, just as Jordan was scrolling down, it's right there at the top, I believe, if you sort by ROI in this game. You can't not. Yeah, it's right there at the top. Brandon Clark. I mean, you can't not sprinkle. Come on. It's bait and switch. This is a trap. This is the irresponsible bet of the night. All right. You know it. It's not going to hit, but you can't not place it, right? At plus 1,100.
Yeah, he played 27 minutes out of the middle of nowhere against Houston. That was pretty frustrating, I would say. So for me, it's more of just like, what do those minutes look like? It seems like some games Kyle Anderson might play 24. He played 18 the last two, so his minutes have been down here. Hard to really isolate any of those props to take advantage of. It's just kind of a messy situation in the absence of Dylan Brooks here. They have Contra who can play some minutes here and there. Melton, we always want to get more minutes out of Melton from a DFS purpose, but he's just not been very fantasy viable for us here either. I'm not really enamored with anything. The Brandon Clark 3-point prop, sure. I mean, that's plus 1,100, taking it over on one shot. He's one opportunity to cease everything you ever wanted. Yeah, go capture it. Don't let it slip.
Is Mom Spaghetti or anything else going to come out here or what? Are you ready for that? Are you going to?
Jordan Klein is so much more interested in the show than he's ever been before, I got to say.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. You're very perceptive. Thank you. My only one I would add to this would be CJ McCollum. I'm going back to this, well, damn it, until it hits. And I'm going to be the weatherman that says, I told you, even though I was wrong 6 days beforehand. Look, he's got volume. If you look at how well he's been shooting the three up until these last 3 games, for whatever reason this month, he is below where he is overall in the season. He's stuck at these 2 makes. You can attack Memphis. I'm not touching anybody from Memphis because New Orleans has been defending the 3 really well recently. So I'm looking at going over 2.5 threes. And here's why I like it, because normally this has been around either even money or somewhere in that minus range, 105, 110. You're now getting it at a pretty decent 118, plus 118 clip. So I'm taking advantage of him on the downswing, and I'm attacking that plus money to go over the 2.5 threes.
Shocked. You like an over on a 3-point prop. We continue on.
Yes, we do, my friend. You know I can't help myself. I got a couple more to go.
I actually
here.
like
Milwaukee.
that one too.
Oh, okay. Well, don't bury the lead.
Sorry. Right? I'm just making sure we get that 4-legger in that we already put together. So
it's already in for me. All right. So Bucks, heavy favorite here at OKC. Last time you and I did a show, we talked about SGA. We talked about going over the PRA. I think we cashed that in the first 2 minutes of the third quarter. Can we go back there? Can we go back and attack that again? But the only reason why it really hit, though, is because that game was close. So I don't know if you think they can keep it close here with the Bucks, because if not, I don't think we're going to get that opportunity.
They cannot. They will not keep this game close. This is going to be problematic. No Isaiah Roby, possibly. Maybe in a DFS perspective, we get to play some Olivia Saw, not Oliviosa. That would be a lot of fun for me. That was also for Jordan Klein, and he liked that one a lot more. But we're also going to stay away from everything that has to do with Oklahoma City here. From a props perspective, I know 25% expected ROI on Darius Bazley steals looks all right here. If you want to isolate a couple of those where you're just getting plus 155 and you can kind of find some of the positive money to be taking either direction, doesn't matter if it's an over and under. There's always going to be one side that's juiced and sometimes just incorrectly on certain players. That would be the case with Darius Bazley here, where 0.7 steals. He's going to get to 1 steal more than he's going to finish at 0. But you're getting plus money for it. So maybe taking some shots there, but even Giannis blocks, I just don't know how much I want to be investing in this game environment where I could see them being up 30. Now, Giannis has been playing a little bit more just quote unquote garbage time than what I was anticipating this season. There's times where they're up 15 against bad teams where he comes back on the floor, whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, I don't really know.
Why?
But why?
Because he's not winning right now, the MVP. There's somebody else ahead of him. Oh, you don't think that there's incentive there to clear some money if he could come from behind, like down the stretch they come?
I'm sure, but also guy has a title and now he's going for another one. He's he's already like one of the greatest players of all time, and he's got another 12 years ahead of him. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You could fade his rebounds and really live dangerously, although Odd Shopper leans towards an under here, and I think a lot of that has to do with the blowout factor. So you could go under 12.5 rebounds on FanDuel at -118, and again, that's a 68% X win. So that's all on the blowout factor because Giannis has been clearing this number healthily.
I also like to live dangerously.
There you go. All right, let's move on then. And
round it out.
Yeah, last one. Clippers Warriors, 222.5. Take it away, Klay Thompson, over 2.5 threes.
That was the one. So right off the bat, you had all the three guys stay at home. We all rostered a bunch of Golden State yesterday. It went well as long as you landed on Moses Moody and company. But here's the thing. Jordan Poole was the guy I was trying to find some props for as soon as this happened. As soon as we got the news that Otto Porter was going to continue to be out here, there's some possibility for Kuminga, who has always been playing well in some of this relief duty. There's spots for a number of these guys. I was trying to find some props. I failed to find enough of them to really put together to really capitalize on it. But I do think Andrew Wiggins becomes a little bit intriguing to take the over on his points prop as well. So 15.5. We have a 5% expected ROI, but that is baked in with Otto Porter being in that we currently had in our projections here. You had all these other guys who just got done playing big minutes that normally do not play big minutes. They'll be on a back-to-back coming back to Golden State. Just a lot of wonky things here where I think the starters could get some extra minutes here. And so I think Golden State's a team amongst Wiggins, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, that compared to where they are at right now in the projections for DFS purposes and for sports books, I think taking some overs is really, really nice. So yeah, Klay Thompson, the 2.5 number is what really stood out on Odd Shopper. Now you've got a points prop that's over 4.5 for rebounds. He's projected for 4.9 as is, and you're getting plus money on that. Just a number of ways that I think these starters just play more minutes than what we might be currently projecting them for.
All right, two quick thoughts here. Looney under a half steal is popping up as a massive X ROI right there. And again, you're right in line. It's a sharp projection based off of where our projection is. Number based off where our projection is. But at +155, the X ROI is clearly there for there. I hear you say yes. You must like that. Otherwise, you would have cut me off and then cut my head off.
Wow.
It was a parlay. We're talking about that's the same game.
What you know about parlay?
All right, last one here for you to think about.
Bootstraps. It's fine. I have nothing else from the other side.
Klay Thompson 2+, Nicholas Batum 1+.
There's nothing with an expected ROI above 20%. From a prop perspective, that means we can usually do better. And these rotations, as tight as they've been to predict lately, it's Ty Lue. I don't want to be. That's just you're dancing with fire quite a bit.
All right, so Klay 2+, Batum 1+, Kennard 2+. Steph 4+. You ready? You like that? You like the four legs?
I honestly think Steph goes berserk tonight. Right, I think Steph Curry, I haven't rostered this guy like at all this year. Okay. I think it is absolutely Steph Curry night. Everything points in the directions. Didn't have to play the front end of the back-to-back. We go.
That's, by the way, +206. Thanks for asking. I did all that work.
How about 6 threes for Steph Curry?
Well, I'm just worried about that 4-leg parlay. You could build your own. All right. How about that?
I can't.
No, look, if you want, you're right. You can. I'm sorry. The highest I can go is over 4.5 for +154. So if you like him like Anthony Simons type volume and he's just going to explode, that's the best return you can get. Or you can just build it into the same game. It's up to you. All right.
Love it.
We're out of here. Deep dive coming your way right now. Live before lock after that. Thanks for hanging with us. Odd Shopper, subscribe there. That's Lindquist. I'm Shander. Thanks to Jordan. Don't go anywhere. You have 2 hours still to go. And this guy's coming back in an hour. Imagine that.
They're going to need the whole entry to bring me out of here.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by Jock Market. I'm Dave Loughran. With me, as always, Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. Man, you had an eventful night on Twitter. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah, I had some fun.
I mean, you just kind of went for everybody.
No, it was mostly that one guy that just.
Do you ever just kind of troll Twitter? Maybe you're at the bar having a couple, and like anything you come across, you're like, well, I can think of something witty to say to this.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I do on Twitter.
But I mean, like, no matter who it is, sometimes just go.
I mean, for the most part, like normally I'll do it with people that I at least somewhat know.
Jordan said he read like the entire thread of everything yesterday. It's good stuff. But we're happy to be with you. We got 6 games tipping off at 7 p.m. You got live before lock after this. You got the Jock Market after show as well with Greg Ehrenberg and Eric Lindquist. We're going to talk you through all of this one. And I guess first things first, Adam, when it comes to what we've got on this slate right now, what are we looking at from what's going on now?
Somebody said something about my satellite ears.
Yeah, you do. I mean, definitely not big ears. Maybe a slight turn here when you have a hat on.
Yeah, I mean the hat, I think, pushes them out a little bit, I guess.
But I think it's fair though, even if it's not true, to credit someone with saying satellite ears. Like, it's just a great term.
Yeah, no issue.
I love you too. Stop, drop, living rent free. That's an interesting one. All right. So just from like, as I ask you all the time to start off these shows, right? You got 6 games today. Obviously some Phoenix value once again. There's a couple guys, DraftKings specifically, believe it or not, that are just mispriced. But is there enough value for us to just kind of do what we want today?
I think so. Not necessarily, 3K type guys, at least right now, but you still have the entire Phoenix team underpriced. You have other spots you can get to as well. Depending on the Milwaukee starting lineup, you potentially have, Jordan Nwora at close to minimum salary there. So I do think there's plenty of value, and there's not a ton to pay up for. I mean, you have Giannis as the most expensive guy. You have Durant, you have Kyrie, but it's not, a slate that has Jokic and Luka and Giannis all on the slate. So not quite as much to pay up for either.
Joe Sands hate that this hat is not curved. Now, I always throw a little curve into it, but Adam, as you know, with these type of snapbacks, right? As you know, you could curve them and the curve just disappears anyway. They're not meant to be curved. Like your hat meant to be curved.
Yeah, my hat came like this, but yeah, the snapbacks don't.
Try to uncurve your hat. It'll be back to curved in a minute.
Right.
Just the way it goes. I'm sorry you don't like it, though. It hurts me. I do like it. And as Jordan pointed out, it's Ruka, not RVCA. Is that right? Yeah, Ruka. Had no idea. Just thought they looked cool. All right, 6 games. Let's get into it here. Hit that thumbs up, too. We're at 159. Decent work by those who came before us, but I mean, we can do so much better than that. We've got over 1,000 people watching right now. At least 238 from that. Yesterday, Josh and I topped out at 1,100, just doing big things on the show. Appreciate you all in advance. And if you forgot, we forgive you. Just takes 1 second. Take that time out of your day. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, too. We just crossed 74,000 subs. Appreciate all you. And if you want to join, hit that join down below. Get the free super chats each month. Custom emojis, those sweet badges that you see in chat. And we'll always prioritize your questions along with our Discord members. It's not really a flat hat though, Malachar. It's just not super roofed. Remember the people that used to have like, they would put that roof curve in their hat? Oh, what an awful experience that was. Now
I don't really remember that.
The people, like there were people that would wear a hat and when they would curve it, they would just go like this and it would look like a roof. You don't remember that? Maybe.
No.
Wow. People know what I'm talking about. It's not, it wasn't.
I mean, like I can picture what you're talking about. I just don't really remember it being a thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing. It was just dummies that didn't know how to bend the brim of their hats.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Mr. Prowler, McCollum with no Ingram. Great play, question mark. Yes, McCollum. Is Ingram officially out?
Not that I've seen.
I didn't see it either. But yes, he would be a great play for sure. All right, let's jump into it. Enough of the pleasant.
Oh yeah, so somebody said look up Japan Little League World Series. That
Yeah, right. There you go. There you go. Now you see. Just Google it. Omar, thank you, Omar. That's a perfect example of the roof tats.
I can't remember if they wore them like that because like I played in a baseball tournament over there and in high school, and I can't remember if they wore them like that. They probably did.
Tim D from The Wire. Where'd you get those sideways hats? I go to the store. All I see is forward hats. That was a great line.
Yeah.
But no, we won't spend the whole time talking about The Wire like we did one show. Brooklyn and Charlotte. So Brooklyn, this opened like 2.5. They're 4.5 point favorites now. This team needs to win some basketball games, Adam. We're reaching a breaking point here. They got both of their guys back. Kevin Durant, 11,100 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, if you're going to Kevin Durant here, you're going to be paying, you're going to be paying 10-3 for him. You got a cheap Drummond over there at 4,500. So I won't say this team is site specific, but there are definitely some better spots to target depending on where you're playing.
Yeah, and it's a good spot for Brooklyn. Durant obviously I think is the one that stands out the most. 11-1 on DraftKings looks fine. FanDuel, he looks fine as well. DraftKings wise, getting about the ownership he deserves. Right now, we have him projected for 12% ownership, 13% ownership, 12% chance of being optimal. Just a really good spot. Should play a lot of minutes. Irving, I don't think looks quite as good. Obviously he takes a hit in terms of production. Playing with Durant, but still a good spot for him. You can get there. In some tournament lineups. One spot that I do think is interesting is Andre Drummond at 5,800. He should be very good on a point per minute basis. It's just a matter of how many minutes is he going to get. My guess is around 22, and then you get Claxton as the backup, and they close with Durant. So I'm not going crazy with him, but right now we do only have him projected for 5% ownership on DraftKings with about an 11% chance of being optimal. So it looks like he may be going a little bit under owned there.
Do you think Drummond gets first of all, his rebound prop today, and this was interesting to me because in the strategy show you had talked about, and I agree with you, the potential that Drummond doesn't necessarily see a huge bump in minutes. Granted, at 4,500 on DraftKings, totally different story. But he has a rebound prop of 10.5 today, which is really quite high given what we've seen from him recently from a minutes perspective and just overall rebounding because he's not playing a ton of minutes. But that prop would suggest that he's going to be playing that a lot.
I have him at 10.8 in 22 minutes.
Okay. Even in 22 minutes, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So you're giving him what? A couple minute bump. He's played 16, 20, and 17 over his last 3 games. He's played less than 22 in 4 of his last 5.
I gave him a couple extra minutes with Aldridge out. 22 Drummond, 18 Claxton, and then the rest Durant.
Is there anything else from Brooklyn that stands out? I mean, now that you have got KD and Irving back, it kind of thins out the herd a little bit.
Yeah, it thins out a lot, and the prices aren't really that cheap. 5,300 for Bruce Brown here and there, I think, is fine. You can take some shots on, Dragic or Claxton as cheap pieces, but Durant really, I think, is the only thing that stands out. And then, taking some shots on Irving and Drummond is fine as well.
So Charlotte here, just hold on, let's see if there's any news coming in
for tomorrow.
Yeah, can't they wait?
Right.
Can't you wait, man? We're doing a damn show here. Charlotte Hornets, though, on the other side. Let's get into this one a little bit. Again, we talked about a lot today on the strategy show, but we've gotten some news throughout the day. Not a ton that changes an insane amount, but once again, I'll go back to the same thing I was saying, Adam. LaMelo, 78 on FanDuel. You happy we're talking about FanDuel here? Because big differences here. Miles Bridges, 6,900. Both of those guys pulling a lot of ownership today. If you were to go to DraftKings, however, LaMelo, 87, Terry Rozier, 82, Bridges, 79. How concerned are you about LaMelo's minutes here? Slightly.
It's obviously not. It doesn't make you feel great that last game he avoided foul trouble and still only played 30 minutes. You would really prefer him to be getting those 35-minute games when he's able to avoid foul trouble. But the salary has come down a bit as well. FanDuel, he looks really good at 7,800, 8,700 on DraftKings. Looks pretty good as well if you assume he's playing 31, 32 minutes. Obviously a good matchup. So It's not ideal, the minutes he's been playing even outside of foul trouble recently, but I think the salary is adjusted at least somewhat for that as well.
So the game is a 240.5 total. A lot of times we find some good spots here. Are there good spots for Charlotte? Like on FanDuel there are, but what about on DraftKings? I think it's a lot less clear cut there.
Yeah, I think it's more like secondary options. LaMelo is a pretty good play at 8,700, but not the best point guard player or anything like that. Same can be said for Rozier and Bridges. Both guys should play a lot of minutes. It's a good matchup. Should be a high-scoring game, but they're also just priced appropriately. So I think all three of those guys can be useful in tournaments, but not pieces I'm necessarily building around. Similarly, $5,400 for PJ Washington. He should get 30 to 32 minutes. He doesn't stand out, but he's certainly playable here and there.
Okay. Where are they in? Hold on. I want to see something where they are in the boom bust tool. When's the last update we got on that? Oh, look at that. 23 seconds ago. Excellent timing. Free content today too. NBA player rankings are free. PGA golfer rankings, NHL player projections, all of them are free. You don't need an account. If you want an account, though, awesemo.com/join. You can do whatever you want, no matter how many sports, what single sport, month, week, express week for less than $5. Get all of the tools we have on the site at awesemo.com/join. But yeah, just looking at the boom bust tool, Adam, none of these guys, just from like an optimal lineup perspective on DraftKings, are really popping outside of LaMelo. He's top 7 in optimal lineup percentage on DraftKings. That was a little surprising to me.
Yeah, we have him going a bit under owned too. 21% optimal percentage, 15% ownership. And we have, how many minutes do we have him projected for? We have him projected for 32 minutes, so it's not like we're going crazy on the minutes projection and that's driving him up or anything. So at that ownership, I do think he looks good.
Anything else you like for Charlotte?
No.
Talk about Cleveland, Indiana. Carlos Gomez, over under Plumlee 7.5 boards. Tell you what Odd Shopper says. What do you have him at? We have him at 6.7.
I haven't finished his projection, but right now I have him at 7.5.
Okay. So 6.7 at Odd Shopper. Totally free, dude. You didn't have to super chat that, but I do appreciate it. But yeah, you can go over there and see what we've got projected. These are the same projections that we have at Awesemo. Cleveland and Indiana. Let's dive into this one a little bit. Pacers are 29th in defensive rating since the trade deadline. So not great. 223.5 total. We know Cleveland plays pretty slow, but this is a really interesting team. Jalen Suggs is out for Orlando because Jared Allen is out. Karis LeVert remains out. And that's going to open things up in the front court considerably. Do you think if you had to guess the starting lineup, do you think we just see Chetty slide into the 3 and then Markkanen at the 4 and then Mobley at the 5? Because that seems to make the most sense. Bring Love as the first guy off the bench.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming for now. With this being the first game of the night, obviously we'll get that starting lineup in, before the slate starts. But for now, I'm just assuming they go with what they did in the second half. Against Indiana, there's no real reason that they can't. Indiana most likely starting Isaiah Jackson at center. It's not like Mobley playing the 5 is a problem. The alternative would be, they could start Kevin Love, but I expect him to come off the bench. They could give Ed Davis the spot start. We saw that earlier in the year. But I think it's most likely that they just go to that starting lineup from the second half.
Do you like Mobley today at the 5? Assume I don't see any reason he wouldn't just be slotted into the 5 here. Or Kevin Love's price is just really attractive, given that, Adam, the guy's he's not someone that's playing a ton of minutes this year coming out of the All-Star break. He was playing limited minutes, but he's back to 30, 26, then we were at 18, but then 26 again. You have no Jared Allen today who gets big run. And Kevin Love is still a very good fantasy point per minute producer.
Yeah, he's averaged 1.26 DraftKings points per minute this season. He gets a bump in rebounding percentage when he plays without Jared Allen as well. So does Evan Mobley, so does Lauri Markkanen. So it makes all of those guys look a little bit better. I think given the salaries, Love is the most appealing, and that's reflected in the ownership as well. On DraftKings, we have him projected for 37% ownership. We have Mobley at 28%. We have Markkanen at 27%. Looking at the boom bust tool, Mobley and Markkanen, we have both of those guys actually going quite a bit over owned, whereas Love, it's a lot closer to neutral. And I think that makes sense, just given the salary, there's just going to be less options around $5,800 that have the same sort of ceiling that Kevin Love does. Mobley and Markkanen, I think, look fine. Mobley a little bit more appealing to me than Markkanen is, but Love's the one that really stands out of that trio.
What about? Well, actually, let me dive into this front court a little bit more. Do you have any issues playing Mobley and Love together, Markkanen and Love together? Is there any issues there, or do you think there's enough minutes to go around when you're voiding pretty considerable amount of playing time for someone like Jarrett Allen?
I think there's enough minutes to go around. Trying to think about like the closing lineup, you could certainly get like we assume the starting lineup is what started the second half. Then you could certainly get a closing lineup where like Kevin Love is in instead of Cedi Osman. But I don't think you're playing a ton of lineups with like three of those guys anyway. As far as just pairing them, I have no issue getting any combination of Love, Mobley, Markkanen.
What if Cedi starts?
If he starts, I would expect him to play around 30 minutes. It would make him look fine at 4,500. A little bit of a drop in usage rate and assist percentage playing alongside Darius Garland and the starters. But if he does play 30 minutes here in a good matchup, he still projects for around 24 fantasy points.
Darius Garland is in a good spot once again against a defense that's playing poorly. It's crazy, right? I was looking at some stuff today for the betting video over on Odd Shopper. That's up. Check it out, by the way. And he's 6th in assists on the season, Adam, in the league. He's 6th in potential assists. But here's a crazy thing. If you take LeVert, Rubio, and Sexton off the floor, he's played over 1,000 minutes. His assist rate in those 1,000 minutes would be second in the league behind only Luka Doncic. It's like 45 or 43.7%.
Yeah.
And he has about a 30% usage rate in that situation too. So crazy inflated rates with those guys sidelined.
Yeah, he's been excellent, and the playing time should be there as well. You're likely getting somewhere around 36 minutes from Garland if this game's competitive. Good matchup, pretty fair price tag. He's another guy that I think, it's not that he's impacted by Jarrett Allen. It's just that with Sexton, Sexton being out, LeVert being out, and Rubio no longer being on the team, there's just so much production available for Garland. Overall, without those guys on the floor, he's averaged 1.2 DraftKings points per minute this year. So I think he looks very good and not getting a ton of ownership. He's at about 14%. There are plenty of good guard plays, even just from what we've talked about already. You have LaMelo at basically the same price. I think that he's very comparable to Garland, and their ownership is similar. I think that it should be. So I think Garland's a very good play, and the ownership is not going to be that high.
43 minutes the other night in regulation too. I mean, it's hard to not like that. And you kind of convinced me earlier that maybe 9K is not that crazy of a price point. It sucks that he's come up as much as he has, right? But it's still, given what he's doing, given the amount of minutes and the insane rates and the great spot that he's in, makes a lot of sense. 8,000 flat on FanDuel too is kind of crazy, but it feels like everyone's cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of reminding me of like the old days on FanDuel where like I think that's the initial reason that we all just started talking about DraftKings was it used to be like every single player on FanDuel was a good play basically.
I've told you this before. When I first started playing on FanDuel, what was it, like 2012, I guess, they had a $9,900 cap on players. So LeBron was capped at 9,900 and you would just play him every single game.
That's crazy.
Like, could you imagine if Jokic was capped at 9,900?
Right.
It'd be stupid. They changed that quick, but yeah, those were wild times, the Wild West, man. Anybody else for Cleveland worth talking about?
Not really, I don't think. If Ed Davis starts, he probably plays like 18 to 20 minutes. It would look okay at 3,100, but still not a priority. But again, I'm assuming that you're getting Cedi.
All right. Talk to me about the Pacers, man. What are we doing with the Halliburtons, the Brogdons, the Buddy Hields of this world?
They're all just sort of there. The matchup isn't very good against Cleveland. Brogdon at 7,800, you could argue maybe still a little bit underpriced. He's producing at a high rate, even with Halliburton there. I expect that to continue too. I think like my initial thought when Brogdon returned from injury was, how's he going to what are his rates going to look like with Halliburton? But then when you think about it, he played the entire season with some combination of Sabonis and LeVert, who are no longer there. So I don't expect Halliburton to change a whole lot for Brogdon in terms of his rates. So far, he's got a mid-20s usage rate. His assist percentage is around 21%. In the games he's played with Halliburton, he's giving you 35, 36 minutes. So it's a decent price tag, but I still prefer, even factoring in the salary, I think I still prefer Garland. I still prefer LaMelo. So it's not a priority for me. Halliburton, I think, is a little bit overpriced for Brogdon being active because he does lose a few points in terms of usage. He's still priced up for when Brogdon was out, and then Hield should play a ton of minutes. He's 7,300, has a 21% usage rate playing with Halliburton and Brogdon, but also I think pretty much priced where he should be.
Tim, yeah, they're right. Tim said, I remember when you would roster a minimum salary guy because one guy's score got dropped on FanDuel. You remember that?
Yeah, that was, I think, for one season.
Yeah. Do you remember when Showdowns on DraftKings had a defensive player?
No.
Yeah, like the first iteration of Showdowns on DraftKings, you had to play a defensive player in the lineup, which was awful.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
I've never played IDP leagues. I'd never want to play IDP leagues. I wouldn't know the first thing about playing IDP leagues. Nope. Cho called him Suggs out. Hampton or Anthony? Well, very different prices.
Yeah, Anthony is the answer if somehow you're just choosing between them. But really, it's going to come down to what are you getting with Hampton? Because obviously he's going to allow you to upgrade something.
I guess Indiana is kind of just a wasteland then, right? Like maybe a little Brogdon, guess a bit of Halliburton, but there's not a lot here. Is there anything in the front court worth touching?
Maybe Jalen Smith, 5,600. He typically is just finding a way to play 26 to 28 minutes. But I do think it's actually important to pay attention to this Indiana news as well, because we have Goga questionable, we have Duarte questionable, and we have Lance Stevenson questionable. If they're all in, I still think Smith probably finds a way to like 26 minutes, but it's certainly riskier. If they were all out though, like if you don't have Goga, there's the backup center minutes available for Smith. If Duarte's out, then there's wing minutes available where it makes it easier for Smith to get some minutes at the 4 as well. So if those guys are ruled out, I think Smith going from 26 minutes to like 28 or 29 is certainly possible, and he's over a fantasy point per minute guy. But all of that being said, he's still not going to stand out in the context of the slate because there's a lot of really good plays in that price range, I think.
All right. And look, agree to disagree on the IDP take. Or leagues. I just have zero interest in taking time to do defensive players.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my issue with them. It's not necessarily that like I don't think they would be fun or anything like that. It's just like I don't want to learn defensive players.
No, that's all. Yeah, I know names, but like value and the scoring and all that, just not interested. That's all. And Gordon Powell said, "You guys can't be this dumb." I think Tim was joking, but I did say NFL. I didn't say NBA. No, you don't play a defensive player in NBA. You don't have to play Rudy Gobert in NBA showdowns. Goody, my man with the timely super chat etiquette, and Adi, who is just always quick to insult me, says one word: lazy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Just lazy. I mean, sure. It bothers me not. I do enough leagues each year where I don't need to spend time on IDP. I
mean, I can barely handle the one league that I'm in with you, as you know.
All right. So where was I? Oh, okay. So with the super chat, Goody, let me get to that. All right. Now, Phoenix. I was thinking Phoenix.
That was his way of telling you to shut up about IDP and get on with the show.
Oh, Goody?
Yeah. I'm throwing in the super chat. Like, all right, next game, guys.
Yeah. It's perfectly fine for me. That's good little psychology right there. Goody asked, any hard caps on the Suns, Bucks when we get to it, he says. Good man. Be sure to remind me. Prefer arched brims. Yeah, it's all right, dude. But a certain type of hat. It's got to be a certain type of hat. That's all. Phoenix is a 6.5-point favorite against Orlando. I get it, Adam. Cameron Payne's very expensive. We can talk about a fade here and the reasons that you might want to do that. But in almost 400 minutes without Booker and Paul, 38% assist rate, What's his usage? I think 29%. He's 17 potential assists in his last 3 games, 36 minutes in regulation last game, and Magic are playing at the second fastest pace in the league over the last month. So just a few things to point out why this might be a very good spot for someone like Cameron Payne today.
Yeah, I kind of think it's like Jordan Poole-esque from last night.
Yeah.
Obviously, started out scary, but certainly got there. It's just the same kind of thing. He's going to get a ton of ownership, but it's so difficult to get away from it. Especially in a sport like basketball where things are more projectable. It's not like you're talking about, some hitter in baseball that's, can't, quote unquote, can't miss, but is still going to fail a ton. It's just really difficult for Payne at 5,300, barring injury or massive foul trouble or something, to really disappoint. And he definitely has the ability to be somebody you have to have as well. Since the start of last year, 1,000. Whoops, that didn't take Booker off. I'll have the numbers in a minute. But it's just a situation like when you think about the floor, even if he goes out there and gets you like 28 to 30 DraftKings points, it's not going to be a good game. It's not what you're expecting or hoping for, but you're still fine. And if he goes and gets 40 plus, you kind of need to have him. He's played 765 minutes without Booker and Paul since the start of last season, 1.12 DraftKings points per minute, 25.7% usage rate, and a 35.5% assist percentage. It's not like this is a guy that's just stepping in, playing more minutes, and you don't know, if he's going to get up shots or be involved or whatever. Like the offense is more or less going to run through him. So extremely difficult for me to get away.
Exit Screaming said, do the answers ever really change when people ask how many insert team here players can you play tonight? I mean, generally it's going to be, when you're talking about good teams, 3, but we've seen spots where teams have like an 8-player rotation at them, and the starters are all going to play 38 to 40 minutes. It does happen. It's usually later in the year, but it can happen.
Yeah. And it's slate dependent. Like normally the answer is going to be 2 to 3, but like if you get a slate, shorter slates, obviously, like you're playing a 2-game night slate or something, you can play more. And then a lot of it's just an opportunity cost question. The smaller the slate, the lower the opportunity cost. If it happens to be a slate where like pricing is really, really tight on everybody except like one team, then maybe you could get a situation where you play more. But the answer is typically, or when you have like a bunch of 3K guys, you can potentially play more. But the answer is
they're all going to start.
Right.
Or get a lot of minutes. So back to Goody's super chat here. I'm trying to find it through the dude who was spamming his Instagram handicapper. Just a barrage of shit in chat. Any hard caps on the Suns, he asks. So similar question here. I don't know if he's talking about hard caps on exposure or on amount you'd play, but I figure you have no problem answering both of those.
Yeah, and I don't really have like I don't if I get 100% Cameron Payne, I wouldn't be surprised. I would have no issue with that. But I mean, even like Ayton, Crowder, Shamet, those guys are all really good plays. So yeah, I mean, I don't typically use exposure caps. So like the answer is no, but the answer is no for every team for me. It's just a process thing. But I mean, as far as these guys go, they're not players that I'm concerned about getting too much of because I think they're some of the best plays on the slate. And as far as, per players per team, I still think it's, 2 to 3.
So will you set a max 3 on Fantasy Cruncher?
Yeah.
Okay. Not 2 though.
No, I won't go 2. I mean, there's no reason that I can't have Landry Shamet with Payne and Ayton, for example.
Right. Hey, could you just, I think it might be a good time since you mentioned that to point out, there's a difference between playing like 3 guys from a team. They don't cannibalize each other's production, right? And aren't vulturing each other's minutes between that and guys that do, right? So you just pointed out there's no issue with playing Landry Shamet along with Cameron Payne because they're not taking away from each other. That's a big factor, right?
Yeah, and so is the pricing. Like if Ayton were 8K and Payne's 7K and Crowder's 6K, like they would still be fine plays, but you're talking about them, it being difficult for all 3 of them to really pay off those salaries at those price tags. But where they're at, they're so underpriced that it's not difficult. And then when you talk about somebody like Shamet, like if he's the 3rd guy in, you're just talking about, one of the better point per dollar value plays on the slate. He can go score 24 fantasy points and have literally no impact on Cameron Payne and DeAndre Ayton.
For sure. It's a good way to put it. if we were to prioritize Phoenix, who, Paul's done till at least close to the end of the year, Booker's out, Cameron Johnson, which is, a pretty big piece here, is also out. Aside from Cameron Payne, who we all agree is just in a spectacular spot here, he's wildly underpriced on DraftKings. Where would you rank the rest of these guys in terms of priority from ownership, position, salary, all of that stuff?
Payne 1, I think 8 and 2. Shamet, I think Shamet and Crowder are close. Obviously, Shamet's a little bit less expensive. I do like the potential assist opportunities for Crowder. He's played 252 minutes without Paul or Booker since last year. Has a 16% assist percentage. He's averaged 0.96 DraftKings points per minute, and he should play quite a bit with Cameron Johnson out as well. Played 34 minutes last game. So I think him and Shamet are pretty comparable. But I would definitely say the top 4 are Payne, Ayton, Crowder, and Shamet. And then you get Mikal Bridges is going to play a lot, but his rates don't really change. He's just someone that you would be playing a little bit of because he's going to be on the floor a ton, and you're just hoping he has a better game than normal. 4K for Aaron Holiday is okay, but not going crazy with that. I think it's really those 4 guys are the main pieces.
One other thing here. Is there any hesitation in the sense that while the key guys are out is huge, and I'm not really referring to Payne here, but maybe the fact that if you're playing 3 of these guys, is there any hesitation that even though this is the case, Jay Crowder, a lot of these guys, you might still see them only play 30, 32 minutes, even if the game is close? Bridges won't.
Yeah, I think what we got last game against Milwaukee is a pretty good indication of what to expect. You got around 32 and a half minutes from Ayton, 34 from Shamet, 34 from Crowder, 36 from Payne, 42 from Bridges. I think projection-wise, you go 30 to 32 on Ayton, somewhere in there. Shamet, at 32, Crowder, 32 to 34, Payne around 34, Bridges probably 40. So, I'm not overly concerned about the playing time.
Okay.
They ran a tight rotation last game. McGee played 9 minutes off the bench. Biyombo played 13. Out of the bench guys, Craig led the way with 21 minutes. So they really just didn't give a lot of minutes to their bench.
So the Magic are without Jalen Suggs today. I don't really know how big of a deal that is. You're going to get Hampton starting. We already got the lineup. Benefits Cole Anthony a bit from an assist standpoint, but at the same time, is it enough to move the needle in a big way on any of these guys?
I don't really think so. Obviously it moves the needle quite a bit on RJ Hampton in the sense that if Suggs were in, he wouldn't be playable. And with Suggs out, he is. He started last game, played 33 and a half minutes. Fultz played about 20 minutes in that game. I expect that you're getting similar playing time from Fultz here. So Hampton does look okay as a value. I think that, guys on Phoenix look a little bit better still, but it's a good point per dollar play. You get a bump in production from Cole Anthony. Usage rate should go up a little bit. Assist percentage should go up a little bit. But 6,800, he's still, I think, pretty fairly priced. So it doesn't change a ton. It does just make, I think Anthony look a little bit better. It certainly makes Hampton look better. But more or less, the guys that, with the exception of Hampton, I think it's, you were going to like Cole Anthony a little bit one way or the other. And now he just looks a little bit better.
Super chat from Travis. Favorite value play so far in DraftKings? Well, I was going to say, it depends what you're considering value, but it's easily Cameron Payne. Do you consider Kevin Love value? I don't know. But if you're talking about really cheap, Landry Shamet or Jordan Nwora, that's.
Yeah, of the guys we've talked about, if you want to say sub 4K or something, I think it's Shamet. But in terms of just most underpriced, I think it's Payne without a question.
Yeah, for sure. And Kevin Love in a spot like this should probably be quite a bit more expensive too.
Yeah, I think Love should be around 7K.
Me too. Anything else from Orlando or keep this moving?
Not really. It's just kind of, there's not a whole lot different here. Mo Bamba at 5,500, sure, he can have a good game, but he's not a top center for me. Same can be said for Wendell Carter Jr. So not a whole lot that stands out.
All right. Hit that thumbs up. Almost at 400. Yeah, we're cruising through 500 today. We still got 25 minutes to go. And while you're at it, check out Jock Market. They've turned fantasy sports into a stock exchange. right? And not the one right now that's just constantly, it's in the red, boys. It's in the red. But you can make money every minute down to every second over there at Jock Market by buying and selling shares of players in real time for real money. And if you click the link in the description of this video, go to Jock Market and use the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, to get up to $100 bonus on your first deposit. I thought it was just an app, Jordan. Is it, the link works? What does it take you to a site? Yeah, does that work? Oh, that's huge. Okay. That's big. Are you sure? Or are you just making things up? I think you're making stuff up. No. I mean, you might be right. Let's see. It says download. Yeah, I don't know. If you can find it, let me know. If you can find it, let me know. But either way, go there and use that link in the description. Get up to $100 bonus on your first deposit using the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO. It's a big bonus. Just download the app and get started. They got markets for football, baseball, hockey, NBA, PGA, and you can use the pregame IPO to pick up shares of your favorite players at what you would obviously assume are a good value. Then you can hold them, you can sell them, you can buy more shares during the game. Coolest part, though, is the first market guarantee. So, yes, you have the $100 bonus with the promo code Awesemo, but Jock Market will refund any losses in your first NBA market up to $100. Boom. Check out the free Jock Market IPO projections as well over at Awesemo. They're free 7 days a week, 365 days of a year to help you beat the market. Jock Market, JOCKMKT. Use that link and start playing today. Get in on some NBA action tonight. All right, Adam, New Orleans and Memphis. You got the Pels here. Brandon Ingram news looming over our heads is huge right now. If he sits, they're 5.5 point dogs. I think that moved. No, it was 6.5, moved to 5.5, back to 6.5 with Ingram. They're playing good basketball right now, like real good basketball right now. Granted, they lost to Denver, but they're smoking teams. I think this game stays close, it's high scoring. If Ingram sits, McCollum is in a phenomenal spot. And if they both play, you're still getting Ingram at a decent cost, given how he's played recently. So what do you want to do here with those two guards / forward?
Yeah, I mean, if Ingram is in, I think that McCollum and Ingram both look fine, priced around where they should be. But this is likely to be a high-scoring game, and they're both producing. McCollum has around a 28% usage rate, around the 25% assist percentage since joining New Orleans. He's averaged about 1.2 DraftKings points per minute. 1.27 DraftKings points per minute. Ingram, you saw him kind of start out slowly when McCollum came over, but his rates have gone up. He now has a similar usage rate and similar assist percentage to McCollum.
They're
as well.
Actually higher than McCollum since McCollum came over.
Yeah. He had started out really low, and now it's pretty close. So he looks good. He has shooting guard, small forward eligibility too, which is nice. Both of those guys should play a lot of minutes. And then Valanciunas looks good as well. 7,500. I do kind of like this spot because, on the one hand, Steven Adams is a solid defender, but Joe Val's not reliant on scoring at the rim, which is nice. Makes me not really care about the matchup. But also, Steven Adams stays at home offensively for Memphis. So it's going to keep Joe Val around the basket, give him plenty of defensive rebounding opportunities. So I like that. And then, if Ingram is out, you expect the rates for McCollum to go up. You also expect the rates for Joe Val to go up. So one way or another, I like them. It's just I like them even more, obviously, if Ingram is out.
Where else do you want to go? I mean, is Joe Val in play for you today if everybody's active?
Yeah, doesn't look as good as if Ingram is out, but I do like him one way or the other. And then if Ingram's out too, certainly pay attention to the starting lineup because they have some decent point per minute guys on their bench that could potentially replace Ingram. If Devontae Graham steps into the starting lineup, I wouldn't expect him to be overly involved offensively, but you would get a bump in playing time to where 3,700 would be a pretty decent value. If somebody like Najee Marshall steps into the starting lineup, he's not a bad point per minute guy, and he's one of those guys that can just kind of do everything when he's on the floor. So him moving into the starting lineup isn't likely to really kill his production since he's not super scoring dependent. If either one of those guys start, I'd have interest in them as values.
Mr. Prowler says, Wiggins a good pay down option on shorthanded OKC.
If he's going to
just
play 86 minutes.
What's up?
I said maybe if he's going to play 86 minutes.
He's just such a terrible per minute producer.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
even-
the answer is yes, he's decent. He's fine. Like, he's probably going to play 30 minutes, give or take, or, could play 30 minutes, give or take, if Roby is out. If Roby's in, I don't have any interest in Wiggins whatsoever. But even if Roby is out, you're just kind of talking about somebody that, like, you're hoping plays above his head. The opportunities will be there, but normally he's just not going to do anything with it. So it's still a low priority play. But if he's starting, 3,300 is, playable. It's just not anything I'm excited about.
Like, if Jordan Noir is starting, would you rather have him over Wiggins for sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think War is starting, but if he does start, then yeah.
Yeah, I don't either, but you never know. It's funny with value plays too, because when you try to get different with value plays, a lot of time it's a lot different than saying, like, you know what, I'm going to play Jokic over a chalky Embiid today, knowing that both of them have 80+ point ceilings. So, yeah. Memphis Grizzlies. Moran, among the high-priced guys, where do you rank him today?
I guess kind of middle of the pack. I like Morant, but I think Giannis looks better. I think Durant looks a little bit better. I think Morant is very similar to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at basically the same price point. Morant's usage rate is very high in the games he plays without Brooks. He has about a 33% assist percentage as well. He's also pretty expensive. I do expect him to see plenty of Herbert Jones as well, which I don't care a ton about individual defense, but I would also prefer him not be defended by Herbert Jones. So, it's a situation where it's still likely to be a fast-paced game. Overall, I think it's still a good play, but he is likely to be defended by somebody who's very, very good.
And yes, the timer is the slate does not start at 6:30. It starts at 7. What's up? You fix that? You can fix that? Yeah, it starts at 7. Just a little bit of a mishap there, but we're good. What else are your thoughts on Memphis today, where you've got a 230.5 total? Could be a high scoring game. Should be close. Like, do we want to target Desmond Bane? Do we want to look at any of these guys that may not really be pulling ownership? It's a little different compared to FanDuel and DraftKings, but DraftKings, you're not seeing much coming towards these guys at all.
Yeah, I like Jaron Jackson Jr., which I say a lot and never usually works, but he's only 6,100 on FanDuel with power forward center eligibility, pulling some ownership there, but I think, deservedly so at that price tag. On DraftKings, he's a little bit more expensive at 6,800, only projected for like 4% ownership. And I get it, because I mean, you're paying $1,000 more than you are for Kevin Love. There's plenty of other options, obviously, like he's $1,700 more than Jay Crowder. There's just a lot of other plays, but at the same time, he has so much volatility that I like him at low ownership in tournaments. Obviously, you're hoping he avoids fouls and plays like 30, 31 minutes, but he's a 1.1 to 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy. If he gets those minutes, it's a spot where I think he could have success. And then also, if you want to think about it, if Herbert Jones does do a good job of slowing down John Morant, then there's a decent chance guys like Jackson and Bane are stepping up.
Milwaukee and OKC. And yeah, you see that in chat. $29.95, Awesemo Plus, Platinum, NBA, Boom Bust Tool, ownership, player projections, the lineup builder, everything is included. You name it, we got it. Literally everything. All of our tools for NBA. Less than $30 a month. If you want to get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on as well, you can do that. The Boom Bust tool is a huge one with the optimal lineup percentages, the bust probability, all of that stuff. Check it out. If you want to go all out too, like all sports, whether it's NASCAR, PGA, UFC, esports, NBA, NHL, MLB, if it happens, everything. If they have contests out there, we got content. All of the tools I was talking about catered to each sport for DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, wherever it is. You can do a year, a month, a week, whatever you want to do, no matter what style of player you are, what your budget is. We got you. Awesemo.com/join. Milwaukee and OKC. Talk to me about the Bucks, namely Giannis Antetokounmpo. Whenever I ask you, like, hey, is there enough value to where we should really be able to do what we want? Oftentimes I'm referring to, can you get the 12K guy in there comfortably and another nice top tier player? based on ownership, it seems like the answer is a resounding yes.
Yeah, I don't think it should be very difficult. I mean, you have like Phoenix is just so cheap. You can go to basically guys at any position and save some salary. You have Hampton, you have just plenty of cheap enough guys that you can get to Giannis pretty easily, I think. And then also, it's just never difficult, or it's normally not difficult to fit him in from a roster construction standpoint either, because of the forward eligibility. Normally on most slates, your best options, like your highest opportunity cost positions, are going to be center and point guard. So it makes it a little bit easier typically to get to somebody like Giannis instead of when Jokic is on the slate at 12K at center. So I think he looks very good. I mean, the only real concern here is if Milwaukee just destroys OKC and Giannis loses minutes. But, as we talk about all the time, one, that's nowhere close to a guarantee. And two, taking guys from the team that theoretically wins in a blowout isn't quite as risky because he's probably producing at an above average rate. So I love getting to Giannis here.
Super chat. If from John Good, how many Suns would you go with in cash? Well, you're definitely going with Cameron Payne.
Yeah.
I think you could go Shamet. You could go.
Yeah, like I haven't built a cash lineup, so don't take it as gospel. But I wouldn't cap it for one. Like if I get to 4, I get to 4. I would think that Payne for sure is in it. Shamet is probably in it, and I would think there's a good chance that at least one of Ayton or Crowder is in it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, if you ended up with all 4 in cash, there's no issue there.
Goody with the super chat. Giannis in a smash spot, but blowout potential in play. 60 points doesn't get it done. Fade thoughts.
It could.
Yeah, it could. Also, they could just blow them out late and it doesn't make a difference, or not blow them out at all. Yesterday, Miami ended up winning by 17. But if you look at that game, it was back and forth. They were down for a while. It wasn't till, late that they pulled away. So
yeah. And with it being a 6-game slate, if you get 60 from Giannis, you're probably fine.
You think so?
Yeah. The next highest projected guy is Durant. We have him at 51. I have him a bit higher, but still low to mid 50s. So there's a pretty decent chance that if Giannis gets 60, he's still the highest scorer on the slate. And it's not like 60 is ever really hurting you. But the other thing is that because there are high upside guys that are underpriced, you're not talking about a slate where you have to go to value like Aaron Wiggins to get to Giannis. And so you're saying okay, I'm taking 18 points from this roster spot. That means I really need Giannis to go get me 70 or 75 to make it worth it. When you're using guys like Cameron Payne and, Shamet and Crowder, guys that are likely to score, plenty of fantasy points on their own, the point per dollar aspect for Giannis becomes less important than the raw points.
How else do we want to approach Milwaukee then? I talked about Jordan Nwora. We have to wait and see what that looks like. This is an 8 p.m. tip, so there's 4 games tipping off before that. Maybe we get some insight into what's at play there, but we do have him projected pretty high, Adam. Really high, actually. If he comes off the bench, what do you think? 23 minutes?
I would say 24 to 26. If he comes off the bench, I do still think he's playable at 3,100. He's a good point per minute guy. If he's playing off the bench, he's playing fewer minutes alongside the starters at least, which helps his production as well. So if he comes off the bench, he is still playable. If he starts, it would be a very good sign for his minutes. And even if the rates go down, you kind of just, I think, put him into a ton of lineups at 3,100.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Middleton, Holiday, Portis, and for all we know, with Grayson Allen out, we talked about it this morning. For all we know, it's like a Bobby Portis, Serge Ibaka front court. It really, we don't know. I don't think it will be, but you think it's Wes Matthews?
My guess is Matthews.
And he's just unplayable at this point, unless you think differently.
No. Yeah, and so somebody had said, why wouldn't it be Nwora? It certainly could be, but I think it just, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they want to keep Nwora with the second unit, have somebody out there that can score a bit. By putting Matthews into the starting lineup, you're not messing with the flow of the offense because he's not going to do anything.
Right. It's interesting though, because you look at this, and Josh pointed out the other day when we were having this conversation, there are only 2 other players that have a worse fantasy point per minute rate over the last, I think it was 2 months than Aaron Wiggins. And one of them was Wesley Matthews. So it's just been brutal. But with Middleton and Holiday and Portis, we can obviously get to them, but can we prioritize those guys? And are you willing to run, like a Giannis, Nora, Middleton lineup? That seems like a lot on this slate, even in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to go to 3 guys from Milwaukee, I think it would include Wara. Like, I think that all of Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, and Portis look very good, but that's a situation where even though they look good, when you think about it in terms of one individual game, chances are 1 or 2 of them are doing well and 1 or 2 of them are doing less well, as a result. So it's really difficult for like Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday all to go for 50 plus fantasy points unless OKC's, unless Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's going for like 70 on the other side. So it's a situation where if you play 3 and one of them is Wara, I think that's fine. But if I were to play 3 of the other guys, I would want to run it back with somebody from OKC because it's pretty difficult for all 3 of them to get there unless this game just shoots out.
All right. What about with OKC, where you've just got, once again, a ton of people that are out? You're down Giddey, Favors, Dort, Kenrich Williams, Ty Jerome. We're still waiting on Isaiah Roby, though, which in the event that he ends up sitting, just frees up more minutes in an already decimated rotation. I mean, did you see some of the guys they were playing the other day? Lindy Waters the third played.
Oh yeah, he's been in the rotation for a bit now.
I know, but he played 18 minutes.
Yeah. Krejci's playing a bunch.
Yep. Yeah. Oliver Sarr started and played 26 minutes.
When?
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't start. My fault. He came in like after. I might be looking at the wrong game.
Last game he played 20 and a half minutes.
I was looking at the wrong game. Popcorn machine messed me up there. I was looking at a game where he came in after a couple of minutes for Roby.
Oh, okay.
But how many minutes did he play last game?
20 and a half.
Are any of these guys like outside of SGA viable?
If Roby is in, he is viable. If he can avoid foul trouble, which certainly is a big if, he's probably playing 30 plus minutes. He's a point per minute guy. He would look fine at 5,300. If he's out, then you get the Aaron Wiggins minutes, which, we already talked about. You can take some shots at him, but you shouldn't feel good about it. It's not very likely to succeed. Pokashevsky at 5,600, I think, is still playable. He's likely to give you 30 minutes or so. He could play more if Roby is out as well. He's not a bad point per minute guy. He's at 0.96 DraftKings points per minute without Giddey. Gilgeous-Alexander is at 1.41 DraftKings points per minute without Giddey. 36% usage rate, 33.5% assist percentage. Similar to Morant, he draws a difficult individual matchup. Also just a good team defense in general, but the upside's certainly there. I think that when you look at Gilgeous-Alexander and you look at Morant, I don't think there should be a big difference in ownership between the two. If there is, I would just prefer whichever one is lower owned.
Anything else for this game before we wrap it up? Making good time today.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Raymond asked if we were going to finish on time, and then somebody banned him for it. What? All right. I saw it. Raymond's our guy. He's in here all the time. Maybe it was just an accident. But I mean, if that's offensive, people have said very offensive things. That's nothing. I mean, that is actually, in my book, Raymond's all right. You know what else is all right, Adam?
What? Oh. I'm drawing a blank on it. Breaks of God?
Breaks of God. Fantasy sports fans, what if you caught a break with the potential that we might not end on time? What if you caught a break with the potential to net a couple $100,000 with less than $100 investment? See those ears perk up. Well, we've got great news because breaksofgod.com is the place to, it's really breaksofgod.com. As the place to catch that break. Breaks of God is the latest sports card collecting trend to catch fire in America. And it's how sports cards collectors of all ages are building high-value card collections without huge investments or risk. It's quickly become a popular and economical way for sports fans to get potentially high-value or rare cards without having to put big money down. And let me say, there are many slot options available. So get Did I just miss that? I've done this read so many times and I finally screw it up. From football to baseball and everything in between, there are many slot options available for under $100 so you can get in on the big money action. Breaks of God box breaks dramatically increase your odds of getting big money premium sports trading cards for a fraction of the cost of expensive, hard to get boxes. All the cards are broken from sealed premium boxes live on Instagram, and the cards are shipped directly to you for free when the live break is over. Slots are limited, so act fast. To learn more about how you can hit big money cards and get 30% off your first break, go to breaksofgod.com/A30. A as in Awesemo, A30. Breaksofgod/A30 and get 30% off your first break. Also, make sure to follow them on Instagram at Breaks of God. All right, Adam, let's close this out, man. We're making good time here. Did we hit 500 likes yet? 484. 484. All right, 16 to go. Let's do it. But before we close it out and turn it over to Greg and Eric, let's talk about the Clippers and the Warriors. All the big guns for the Warriors are good today. That was mostly just a resting yesterday. But with the Clippers, you said on the strategy show, which every day of the week, 10 a.m., for those of you that want to come and join us or watch it after the fact, that the Clippers are maybe, you said this as you were freezing up and coming back. It was a very odd experience for Jordan and myself. You didn't even know it was happening. That most of them are either priced appropriately or overpriced for this slate.
Yeah, I do think that there is a difference, a pretty big difference in sites here too. For example, Reggie Jackson, 8,600 on DraftKings. He's good. Like, he's going to play a lot of minutes and all of that, but it's just really difficult to pay that salary when you're talking about around a fantasy point per minute guy in 34, 35 minutes, pretty obviously overpriced at 8,600, but 7,100 on FanDuel, a pretty different story. So I do like him there, but on DraftKings as a whole, the team's just pretty overpriced, I think. Marcus Morris is another one that I think stands out on FanDuel. He's only 5K compared to 6,100 on DraftKings. You should get around 30 minutes from him. He's around a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy. But it's, a lot more difficult to get there on DraftKings. Zubats is priced up. Man is priced up. I don't see much to like, unless you're just kind of throwing darts at like 4K Luke Kennard or $3,600 Amir Coffey and just hoping for the best.
People always think you're high, but really it's just allergies.
Yeah.
Or are you high?
What'd you say?
I said, or I know you're not high.
No.
I know. Someone said the other day that like they were convinced that you and I are always high, which is far from the truth. I don't even smoke anymore. I'd say if I did.
I've smoked probably twice in my life, and not in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that lived a sheltered life, did we?
Yeah.
We had another comment that I was trying to get to, but I can't find it. And I wish that I could. Oh, someone said, how's Laffy going to do tomorrow with 13 games? Well, Laffy doesn't have to worry about that because I'm not on the deeper dive tomorrow night. So have fun, Adam. Should be a blast.
Yeah, I wish that was Thursday so that I didn't have to do it.
Yeah, it's not. Your send-off to the live final is a 13-game NBA slate on a Wednesday night. All right.
Somebody said, remember the time I went to the bar before the show? That's yesterday.
I think they meant when you went to the bar before.
Yeah. No, I know what they meant, but yeah.
Otto Porter's out. Gary Payton, the second is out, but Klay's back. Curry's back. Everybody like of more importance is back today. Curry's just been so difficult to roster, dude. It's not easy to play him at all at this price point.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading chat.
Well, I mean, if it's got, you got to tell him. Oh, hold on a second. Evan Mobley at center.
Yeah, Wade starting.
Okay. Any interest in old Dean?
Not really.
Right.
What's his price? 3,300. I mean, he's kind of like a slightly better version of Aaron Wiggins.
Well, okay, Warriors. What's up?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, Golden State, I don't have a ton of interest in this team either. You're never wrong for getting to Curry. Like, he can obviously be the highest scorer on the slate, but he's really expensive. He doesn't offer he has a lower usage rate than guys like SGA and Morant. Similar assist percentage, doesn't rebound clearly at the same rate as guys like Durant and Giannis that are expensive. So it's really tough to get there. Klay Thompson should play 30 minutes or so. I think he's a little bit overpriced at 6,700, but not getting much ownership either with shooting guard, small forward eligibility. I did mention him in my DraftKings tournament plays video, just as somebody that certainly has a ceiling that you can use to be different. I think the easiest guy to get to here probably is Kevon Looney at 4,300. But even that, you're talking about a center position where there's plenty of other options that we like as well.
Top high-end option today.
Giannis.
Top value, not named Payne. Is it Shamet right now?
Yeah, I think it's Shamet.
All right. And favorite.
It could be Wara too. Like if Wara starts, I think it's Wara.
Sure.
If he comes off the bench, I still think he's good, but I think the answer is Shamet.
A little curveball here. Favorite kind of low owned play. It doesn't have to be. I'm not talking 1%. But anybody stand out to you?
Let me see. I had sorted by team, so
I think the people will appreciate that. And yeah. I appreciate you getting us to 8 away from 600 likes. Makes I can go down and look my family in the eyes.
I'll say either Andre Drummond or Jaron Jackson. Neither one is somebody that I'm super confident in, but I just like the volatility you get. Like we talked, like for one, I think Drummond's going to be very productive for whatever minutes he's on the floor. But even though I think he's only playing 20 to 22 minutes, I could be wrong, and he just plays like 26, in which case he's great. And even if he plays 20 to 22, he certainly could still have a good game. And then Jackson just not getting ownership and certainly has a very high ceiling.
All right, good stuff, man. Did Jordan say what? No. Oh, from Jordan? All right. Let's close it with this. And then Greg and Eric coming up next. They got the after show too for 30 minutes after lock. They'll be breaking it all down, talking a little jock market over there. So hang with them if you're not doing anything. Jordan asked Giannis, Middleton, and Cole Anthony. So $2 and Cole Anthony, or KD, Garland, and Miles Bridges for FanDuel cash. Thanks for everything, guys. Thanks, Jordan.
KD, Garland, Bridges. Probably the first one.
Okay. Giannis, Middleton, and Cole Anthony. It was Suggs out. It helps for cash.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis is the piece that I really wanted. Yeah, I mean, I think they're close. I don't think that. Like, I don't look at anything on either side and say, like, oh, I don't want that or that's bad. But I think I would lean the Giannis side.
All right, boys and girls, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS. Just ride that late night Twitter wave with him. You won't regret it. Follow me while you're at it at Lofty_D. See those yellow names? That's where you can find us. And follow Jordan at Jordan D. Klein. We figured out his middle name today. He instantly regretted giving that away. Oh, God, he's going to get swatted soon right on the stream. It's going to be bad. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace.
good one, Jordan. Setting this show off in a negative way. Never mind. Head beats. These freshies you put out, my friend. My God. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NBA Live Before Lock show. I'm Eric Lindquist, excited to be talking a little jock market here for that half hour afterwards. We got 53 minutes, though, until lock. That's what we're going to focus on here for DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, all of the things you guys are looking at for DFS, and the guy that I generally do this show with most of the time. I would say a good 75. That's just off the top of my head. 72%. We'll go with that. Number of the times. Greg Ehrenberg at G Ehrenberg DFS. Go give him a follow. If you guys like futures bets, if you guys like making money on things like, I don't know, betting against the Lakers, you probably want to be following him. Greg, how you doing, my dude?
I'm good. So I'm good for reasons probably unbeknownst to you. I've set a personal record. Today, I made it 2 weeks in a row of eating at least one burrito every day. Didn't even realize. So before we did the show, I was like, "Oh my God, I have to go get a burrito because I have to keep the streak going." I forgot I had a burrito earlier for breakfast. I had a breakfast burrito, so I already filled the quota. But it's good we doubled down today. So it's been a good stretch for me.
I'm older than you. You're not allowed to forget what you had for breakfast or lunch or dinner. That's not allowed at what, 32?
I didn't forget. I just didn't think about it. I was like, oh no, I need to go to Tango's in town to get my burrito for the day.
Tango's.
Yeah, it's a Mexican place.
Okay, so let's do the big poppers. Rank these three. I mean, if you want to do an FMK, we could do it in this kind of order. But Chipotle.
No.
Qdoba.
Yeah. What? I like getting food from like real places though.
Oh, okay. We can't do the chain one.
No. Like Tango's is an actual restaurant.
Oh, okay. That's going to be better. Okay. Well, how about this? Head to head, Qdoba versus Chipotle.
Qdoba.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not into like food poisoning and diarrhea, or else like I get the appeal to Chipotle though.
I mean, it clears out the system.
Yeah. But I have to get a yearly colonoscopy done anyway, so I get my fill of that. Like I just don't need it.
On that note, everybody hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, so Greg can keep getting colonoscopies, keep the lights on, or keep his lights on in that event. You like what you like. But here we go. I always ask you this question at the get-go of the shows. Jordan Klein already cheesing out. It's going to be a good one, y'all. Let's get into it here. What piece of news?
Brandon Ingram.
That was the easiest question I've ever asked. All right, cool. Let's start at the guard spot then. Screw it. That was a great intro. If you don't know what we're talking about, you haven't seen the show before, hello and welcome. I apologize ahead of time for my friend over here, but Cameron Payne, we want to play a lot of him today, don't we?
Yeah, I find him really difficult to get away from, even with the high ownership he has. I think on FanDuel, you could make a case to not have 100% of him at 6,600. That's like the best I could say. On DK right now, Cam Payne is currently in all of my lineups at 5,300. I find that to be a price point that just really, I haven't projected nearly 40 fantasy points at that kind of salary on a slate where there isn't that much value. There's some good points per dollar plays, but it's not like we're overloaded with a bunch of really good cheap options. I find Cameron Payne to just be by far the best option on this slate. So I'll lock him in and I'll kind of differentiate elsewhere, but I just don't see around playing Cam Payne cash games. Absolutely have to play him. Even in tournaments, I think you have to play him. You could quibble, go back and forth about what percentage you want him. He's going to be in all my lineups on DK.
Quibble. Love that word. Well done by you. Put that in your Wordle and smoke it. Landry Shamet, 35.5% ownership currently on DraftKings. That's kind of an interesting one because there's been a number of slates where he's appeared, and it wasn't until he played 34 minutes there against Milwaukee in a close game, given the Portland one was wonky, played 23, nobody played blowout runs. So if you project him around 28 minutes, it is what it is. But at 32 minutes, he does become a little bit fascinating, I will say. But 35.5% rostership here on this slate. He does have the good shooting guard, small forward eligibility. This is a guy I was kind of planning on shorting. We got RJ Hampton. Maybe I don't have to short it as much if people are going to be going that direction, but I don't really have a good gauge on what I want to do with Landry Shamet yet. Do you?
So he's obviously in my player pool. Maybe not obviously, but I think he's a good points per dollar play. He's in my player pool. The campaign is a much better option than Shamet, and I do think his upside is a little bit capped. It's going to kind of depend, though, on what other options we get that open up as the slate goes on here. So let's say that Brandon Ingram gets ruled out and there's somebody, cheap who moves into like Najee Marshall moves into the starting lineup for the Pelicans, that will change how I view Landry Shamet. Right now, though, I kind of feel that he's a little bit of a necessary play at 3,700 on DK just because of the lack of overall value options on the slate. But there are other cheap options that are popular. I prefer to him. I'd rather get to Campaign. I'd rather get to Jordan Nwora. I'd rather get to Kevin Love as a value play. So Shamet's in there. He's just not quite on the same level as those guys, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. I mean, at least on FanDuel, he's 5,100 and I don't have to think about it. But on DK, again, it's just one of those guys where I'm not going to play him on FanDuel. So maybe I get a little exposure over on DK where he's sub 4K and kind of gets me more access to the top tier guys that I want to be playing. I want to play CJ McCollum if Brandon Ingram's out. I want to play Giannis and Durant no matter what. So there's just a lot of paths where he can work out for you, even just putting up 22. But that's also kind of the reason that I don't want to play him. So we'll see what happens over the course of this show, because I don't really have to make that decision until, 5 minutes before lock. I think I've got a CSV that's kind of built in the event that Brandon Ingram gets ruled out, and it's set to go here. Hopefully we get that news here, but that's why you want to stick around for half an hour afterwards, because I think he might end up being truer to a game time decision than anything else. And Landry Shamet makes some of those builds work in the event that you don't get the CJ McCollum opportunity or some of those New Orleans cheapies. Let's keep it going then. Rest of the guard spots. I mean, we have some spend ups to look at. Steph Curry, who I really think is fascinating on this slate, not necessarily DK, 11K for him there. It's a pretty hefty tag, but all of these guys, they sat home. They watched their team lose over in Denver for that makeup game that they had to play yesterday. But he's 94 over on FanDuel and sub 20%. I'm going to fire him in a ridiculous amount over there, I think, is kind of the game plan. But on DK, less so. Ja Morant, 10-7. Shea's 10-6 in a tough matchup, but garnering 12% because we've seen that upside. And Kyrie Irving got to play big minutes because he's on the road. Are any of these 10K guys on DraftKings popping into your lineups?
So for the 10K guys at guard, not really at any kind of regularity, just because I do think there's options I just prefer to go cheaper here with, Payne and Shamet. Then the guys that I do like getting to is like, I'd rather get to LaMelo Ball at 8,700, who I think is going under-owned on this slate. We're getting 14% ownership for LaMelo over on DraftKings. That seems pretty crazy to me going up against the Nets. So I understand there was a long stretch of games where LaMelo didn't really produce fantasy production, but almost all of them were difficult matchups. There was also a lot of blowouts involved, and there was games where he got into foul trouble. And then we saw last game, he plays in a more favorable matchup against the Spurs. Once again, the minutes weren't sky high for him. He only played 29, but even in those minutes, he still scored 46.5 DraftKings points. Now it's a favorable matchup against the Nets, who have really, really been awful now over the last month and a half. They've lost something like, 17 of the last 21 games, or 16 of the last 21. I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's some terrible streak they've been on, because outside of the top end guys the Nets have, it's just not a very good team. So I view this as a really favorable matchup for LaMelo Ball. And without there being just a crazy influx of cheap guys to get to, I think he's a really good secondary superstar play that also is just being overlooked by the field. He should be more popular than this on DraftKings.
Jordan Klein out there lying to the people about his location. I don't know why. Are you Carmen Sandiego? What is going on here? I don't get it. Yes, South Dakota is my home state. By the way, if you're looking for a college basketball lock of all locks, -6 going up against NDSU, there is no repeat of Oral Roberts, the collapse that they had last season. They are getting to the tournament. They are dancing in a glorified home game in Sioux Falls, about 45 minutes south of Brookings, South Dakota. So just fire that one up here for tonight. And make sure you're watching Ben Rossa. Make sure you're watching Matt Gajewski with all of their college basketball stuff. I don't trust anybody else in terms of their content the way that I trust those two. Get ready for March Madness. It is upon us. It's going to be a lot of fun here. Let's go to some of these mid-range options. And I know CJ McCollum is going to be a guy we're probably both very, very interested in. Devontae Graham as well. If you get Brandon Ingram off the floor for tonight, as we wait for that news, there's guys like Chris Middleton, where he's shooting guard small forward. Drew Holiday in that same OKC spot, 7,600. He's really expensive on FanDuel and kind of a write-off for me there. And then RJ Hampton. Is there anybody from 15 to 25% that's falling into a lot of your lineups now too, Greg?
15 to 25%. That's not a lot of players. That is,
I mean, it's the limited ones that are up top there. I don't want to, before I ask you who your super tournament darts are. If there's anybody you think's going way underrepresented, I thought I would ask you about Drew and Chris in that spot. RJ Hampton, who's 3,800 and now starting. Chetty Osman is in that grouping as well. Somebody that we do not have I know Dean Wade is going to be the starter there, but Chetty has played 32 minutes back-to-back games off the bench. So a lot of guys to kind of consider there.
Yeah. So, I'm going to get caught up on technicality. It's 7 players that are projected for that amount of ownership. It's not that I got 7 out of the entire player pool. I've got 7 I could talk about here. My favorite as of right now is Chetty, but I did think he was going to be starting earlier in the day, and that's not going to be the case now. So I'm going to have to update that, and that's going to bring him down a little bit. None of these guys are primary plays for me, but I have some exposure to Chris Middleton, some to Drew Holiday, some to Markkanen with Jared Allen out. But I think I'm underweight to the field on all of these guys currently, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, here you go, Greg. Rest of the guard position, have at. Anybody you think that's coming in way underrepresented in terms of ownership that's sub 15%?
LaMelo, the one from he's the one that I'm most overweight to. We've got LaMelo right now projected for 14%. Let me see if there's anybody else that
Absolute smash on FanDuel too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm checking to see if there's anybody else that I'm like really overweight to here. No, the only one for me right now is LaMelo that I'm like I'm more than double the field on LaMelo right now.
That's just fine by me. Love LaMelo, 7,800 on FanDuel as well. Want to be getting to lots of him here. This might be the quickest we've ever kind of covered. I guess let's touch on the Pelicans situation. This might be a good thing to start with at guard, considering, I don't know, Brandon Ingram is going to open up a lot of guard value, specifically the possibility of Devontae Graham being the guy who I assume would be starting. It could be some kind of a random combination. Maybe Tony Snell gets the start and they play him alongside at the 2 or the 3 alongside Herbert Jones. But I don't think they're going to take Hayes or anything out of this kind of situation. It just makes it a 1-for-1 swap to put Graham in there, I believe. And at 3,700, he would become my favorite tournament play of the entire slate. Do you have any kind of a plan in place for when we get this Brandon Ingram news?
I wouldn't really say a plan, just because I have no clue what to expect here from multiple avenues. Number one, I think he's a true 50-50 decision, and we're not going to know until later. But then even if he's out, I don't know who's going to start in his place. You'd said it earlier that CJ McCollum looks better, which I agree. But at the same time, too, I'd rather roster Darius Garland or LaMelo Ball than get to CJ McCollum. So I still don't know that I'm going to be getting to a ton of McCollum, mostly because he's priced up at this point. He's 9,100 on DK. On FanDuel, he's 8,600. So, DK is a little, the FanDuel price is a little more favorable than the DK one, but at the same time, he's only shooting guard eligible over on FanDuel. So I kind of think he's already appropriately priced, and it's a difficult matchup on the road in Memphis. But what do you think is a fair price for CJ McCollum in a game without Ingram? Because I just don't think it should be much more than 9,100, if not 9,100.
We are on different pages with this one because CJ McCollum has kind of revamped this franchise quickly. They should have won that Denver game. They started playing some really good basketball. Obviously, we all saw the primetime games here, but with Brandon Ingram off the floor, CJ McCollum over a 30% usage rate. Rebounding rate is never going to be something that you're going to find that appealing, but 9.6% in his tenure so far with New Orleans Pelicans with Brandon Ingram off the floor as well. It's decent enough here from that spot. And let me find that assist percentage to round it all out. 39.4% with Brandon Ingram off the floor. I mean, these are guys, he deserves to be 9K, and specifically FanDuel. I keep alluding to that. I'm playing a little bit more over there today. So I'm going to be prioritizing him at 8,600. I don't know if the field, depending on the timing of it, if it comes out 5 minutes before lock, I'm probably at a good chance. I hope it comes out after lock because I'm going to build some lineups with CJ McCollum already built in there. He's shooting guard only, so it's not as easy to land on him. Only 12%. I would want to be well over the field in the event that we get Brandon Ingram out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I also think his ownership would go up at that point. And once again, I think he looks better on FanDuel than he does at DK. But once again, on DraftKings, where we right now have him projected for Ehtan ownership at 9,100, assume that number goes up to, around 10% at 9,100. Here's another way to look at this. how many fantasy points would you have McCollum projected for if Brandon Ingram is out? Because for me, I would still have him behind LaMelo Ball and Darius Garland, which I don't think is. I feel like the way that I'm saying it isn't necessarily correct. That I would just be totally writing off McCollum. It's just relative to the other guys. I just think LaMelo Ball and Darius Garland are better fantasy producers that I'd rather roster than CJ McCollum.
Okay, I get it. And I'm not saying that they're not in better situations as it stands right now. If you get Ingram in, I'm just kind of speculating already. I want to build in some lineups already with Ingram, and I'd probably give it a little bit more of a boost because we haven't seen this situation a whole lot. Memphis, not exactly the worst game environment, either 230 total you're looking at in this spot. So I think there's a lot of things there that makes sense. But let me talk about Devontae Graham for 1 second, just so that it's ready to go. He is point guard, shooting guard eligible on FanDuel. He's 4,100. He's only around a 0.8 fantasy point per minute on FanDuel for the season. 3,700 though. I mean, he kind of makes a direct pivot off of the likes of RJ Hampton, off of Shamet at the exact number. Would you have interest in Devontae Graham with Brandon Ingram out?
Yeah, he's somebody that I think in terms of a value option would make sense. And while I think a lot of people would be trying to make pivots over to McCollum and would probably make McCollum more popular than Ball and Garland if there's no Ingram for the Pelicans today, I don't know that people are going to flocking to roster Devontae Graham. He's kind of out of sight, out of mind at this point, and he is really cheap. And I suspect I would have Devontae Graham projected for more fantasy points than Landry Shamet in that situation.
As would I. That's kind of the last thing to touch on there before we jump over here to Awesemo Plus tools and content. $29.95 for the weekly pass. Do you want full access to everything we have behind the paywall? Yes. Not just the NBA. Look at you. Enthusiastic. I go get him, partner. What's happening? Jordan Klein. You okay? Did you raise your hand too? Is that what it was? Oh, streaming. It's lagging. Oh, everything's lagging. It's okay. We're going to keep it on moving. $29.95 for the weekly pass here. If you want to have MMA, PGA, it is a massive PGA slate. I talked the Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass with our friend Ben Raza all morning long. It was a blast. Really looking forward to this tournament known as the Fifth Major. There's even a $300,000 contest on FanDuel for this one. So I'm telling you, that's what you're kind of looking at. You've got a milli maker. You've got 2 milli makers over on DK. So much fun stuff that we have in store here. So you're going to want to take advantage of the $29.95 for the weekly pass. If you want to have those projections, if you want to have everything locked and loaded to go there, telling you right now, it's going to be an absolute blast to play in that tournament. NASCAR back in full swing here as well. If there are contests for it, we have content for it. That's what Lofty always says, but it's true. So $29.95 for that. If you want more than just NBA, stop guessing, start winning, and join us here at Awesemo Plus. All right. As a stream kind of settled down here for a second, are we still a little choppy? Hashtag choppy.
It seems fine for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it seems fine on mine too. Weird.
Is it you? What kind? How many tabs do you open on that computer, Jordan?
Yeah, what are you doing in that computer, Jordan?
When you didn't seem to be paying attention when Eric was talking before, what were you watching? Okay.
Oh, were you?
All right. I bet you were slacking.
Yeah, you hard slacking. Jordan Nwora is really popular. In the same way that I don't feel great about Shamet, I don't feel great about Nwora. It's that kind of a slate where you have two guys that are just necessary evils if you want to get to some of these top end plays. And depending on if, Nwora starts, if he starts, I have no problem with him and firing him up at 40%. But let's theoretically say if he's starting or not starting, because we will probably have that news while we're on this show. Obviously, it locks at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but I'm assuming we get that Milwaukee starting lineup in the next hour. How do you feel Jordan Nwora fits into your lineups today?
Yeah, even if he comes off the bench, I think it's hard to not like him a whole bunch, just considering, once again, the lack of value plays today. He's a good points from a fantasy producer. There's no Grayson Allen, and this is a very thin bench for the Milwaukee Bucks because not only is Grayson Allen out, but we also have to talk about George Hill not being there. Pat Connaughton is hurt. We know Brook Lopez hasn't played for an extended period of time, but as a result, here are the top guys for the Milwaukee Bucks. And these ones are obvious: Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, Portis. But you get after those guys, and then the bench is rounded out by Jordan Nwora, Serge Ibaka, Wes Matthews, DeAndre Bembry, like Lindo Wigington, Javon Carter. It's so you fall off so quickly in terms of depth when you get to this team that I almost think they're forced to play Nwora at least mid-20s minutes as a pretty solid fantasy producer, kind of regardless whether he starts or not. So I'm finding myself pretty drawn to Jordan Nwora. I think him and Campaign are the two best points per dollar plays on the slate. And I would feel that way even if Nwora came off the bench.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting at. It's good to hear a little bit of the certainty out there because I do not have it about Shamet. I do think if you get 26, 28 minutes as a low bar for Nwora, that he's going to project out pretty well and somebody you want a part of. I know that here at Awesemo, we had him projected for 32 minutes earlier in the day. We still have him at 30. What is the exact number? Let me find it. 34 is the projection we have for him now. I mean, that is a massive minutes projection. If you get that, it's hard to avoid it, especially 4K on FanDuel, 3,100 on DK. Around the industry, going to be a guy that just fits into lineups really, really nicely. And the guy that we're trying to pay up for on this slate, no matter what, or the two guys, should I say, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant, who it's nice to see the workload has already been there. 39 minutes in that Boston game that if it weren't for Jason Tatum just completely overshadowing him, 61 fantasy points, sub 15% we're looking at on this slate would really stand out here on the top end. But Giannis, Kevin Durant, Miles Bridges, if you wanted to put him in that grouping, but let's kind of stick with Giannis and KD for now. Are you finding yourself paying up for both of them, or is one sticking out a little bit more than the other for you?
Is it crazy or like, I don't even think these guys are in the same ballpark. I think Giannis is just such a far superior play in terms of how I have him projected. And Giannis is also just a way better fantasy producer. So then on DraftKings, I currently have, all right, so they're my two top projected players overall, but I have Giannis for 62 fantasy points and Durant for 53 and a half. That's a massive, massive gap. Do you have it closer than that? Because I find it really hard to justify the opportunity cost of going heavy on Durant at the expense of Giannis, just based on the difference in what I have them projected for.
Yeah, I mean, on the season, Kevin Durant, 1.35 fantasy points per minute, but a lot of that being alongside James Harden. He does get Kyrie Irving in for this game, whereas Giannis right around 1.7. That is gigantically different baselines. I have to say, though, the $1,600 difference is interesting on a site like FanDuel. On DK, I do not think that 12%, a 12% different is quite enough. I'm with you there. I think on DK, I'm going to fire up a little bit more Giannis than KD, and it actually might not even be remotely close. Last run, 43% that I got of Giannis, even barring the fact that I don't like Shamet all that much. I'm projecting right now Ingram out just to kind of have that queued up. Isaiah Roby, we're still waiting on that news, and we could get Olivier Sarr in there as another piece of cheap value because they just are so low on bigs there. But Kevin Durant over on FanDuel is 10-3. You get small forward, power forward there, same exact eligibility as Giannis. And, you know, they're near the same ownership. So maybe I should be kind of factoring that in. But I just don't think it's like one of those slates where it's as easy to just go, hey, stars and scrubs, set it up. Because I feel like you're holding hands with a lot of those lineups. If I'm going to be playing Nwora and Shamet or whomever else. I guess Shamet isn't a play on FanDuel, but there's a lot of other cheap value that exists there. I'm trying to get a little bit different. I feel like KD makes a little bit more sense on the FanDuel slate than the DraftKings one.
Yeah, I think that is reasonable. But even with that said, I have like 3x the amount of exposure to Giannis as I do to Durant in my current FanDuel build. I just think he's a much better play based on my projections. There's always situations where we could say like, oh, look, there's only 1 or 2 fantasy points separating these guys. Maybe they both have really high upside, but there's a difference in ownership. I just have, when I have Giannis projected for this many more fantasy points than Durant, I just have to consider him the strongest option. The only real concern here is, will the Bucks just blow out the Thunder, which is a possibility. Maybe we only have to see Giannis play, 22 minutes, especially because the Bucks do play tomorrow. So the only thing I could push back is, are you doing anything to account for they're playing OKC and the Bucks play again tomorrow?
I'm not really thinking about it too much because what we generally get in those scenarios is like Giannis will maybe sit on the back-to-back and it becomes Drew and Chris Middleton chalk day. And we've all seen that movie quite a few times here with Milwaukee. I think with everybody active here, I'm assuming it's just full go in, smash OKC. They're 13-point favorites and you move on with your day. It's just, I'm not really factoring that in. It's just more of looking at the price discrepancy between him and Kevin Durant as far as like may be playing a little bit of game theory, but as you said, there's a definite chasm between their fantasy point per minute rates here on the season. Although without James Harden, I do expect KD to be more around a 1.45, 1.5 guy, maybe going forward. So that's what we've seen out of him in the past. That he's the best pure scorer in the NBA, and he's just getting going here again. It's kind of been a on and off season for him. So I have
one counterpoint to that.
Okay.
Do you not think? I think that playing alongside James Harden is better for Durant's fantasy production than playing alongside Kyrie Irving, because Harden is more capable of being a distributor than Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie, I just view in the situation as being a higher usage guy. So I actually think this is a worse situation for Durant than what he had earlier in the year.
Oh, let me pull it up here. Because there's ways we can check such things. And from, I guess I have the data range set up from a month ago. It's annoying. Let me go all the way back here, get it all covered. We got a super chat. We'll answer this as I'm kind of pulling that up and comparing the two. But Michael McKinney, thank you so much. $2. We appreciate you guys always for these super chats. Kevin Lover Eytan.
Question is,
Kevin Lover Eytan on DeAndre Ayton on FanDuel, or McCollum or Garland. So, okay, Kevin Lover Ayton, and then McCollum or Garland. Pick one of each of those two.
Oh, see, I should have waited. I thought this was going to be his norm. He always leaves a super chat asking for our favorite value options and favorite pay-up options. So I thought that was what the question was going to be, but not the case. He's mixed it up and asked us something else today. So Love or Ayton on FanDuel. Let's see. That is Ayton for me over on FanDuel, especially now that Dean Wade is starting. That's just somebody else on Cleveland we have to give minutes to. It doesn't mean that I think that Love is not a good play. It just makes Ayton better. So Ayton to me is one of my favorite overall plays on the slate. McCollum or Garland, I prefer Garland to McCollum.
Okay, beautiful. We got Drummond starting at center. We'll get to the center spot here. I kind of assume that we all did. It's just a question of what those minutes are going to look like, and we will ask Greg such things. Got the starting lineup for the Cavs: Garland, Okoro, Wade, Markkanen, and Mobley. That's exactly what we expected once we heard Wade was going to be starting 15-ish minutes ago. And News God saying that Roby is going to be starting if cleared. That's what we would expect. We just got to wait for that news to see if he's going to be cleared, because I think center is kind of a wonky spot here on this slate. Last night, talking on the NBA Slate Starter podcast with Rinpack, looked like you could be playing a lot of power forwards here in center. And one of those guys that you could possibly be clicking on is Kevin Love here, Evan Mobley, both of them in this Cleveland front court now that's going to be absent Jared Allen for a while. Which one do you like more for this slate today?
Between Allen and who is the other one?
Love.
Oh, so Love and...
Oh, sorry.
Mobley.
Love
So
and,
you
Love. Sorry, I was saying Allen was out. Mobley.
Okay. So that's where I got confused. So between Love and Mobley, just based on price, I prefer Kevin Love for today on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I really do like Evan Mobley in general as well. But what was that? Oh, did the audience hear that as well?
Did you just literally unmute yourself to cough and then mute yourself again?
That was
excuse you,
right.
sir.
That aside, anyway, Kevin Love, just because he's cheaper, and I think him and Mobley overall, I have them projected somewhat similarly today. Mobley a little bit higher. The Dean Wade starting news does cut into Kevin Love a little bit for me, but he's still much cheaper than Mobley. I do think he's a better option.
Dalton Henley Jr., favorite center on FanDuel in single entry. Again, we will get to that here in 2 seconds. We want to kind of round out the forward spot here. We're making great time, though. We have 25 minutes here. Center on and single entry. I'll remember that here for you. So Dalton Henley, promise that will not go overlooked. I will have you covered there, but want to make sure that we round out forward here. Talked about the Cleveland situation. We talked about Nowara and Shamet. Now we kind of open it up here a little bit more to some of your favorite tournament darts to be taking. Where are you kind of finding which players do you think are going the most overlooked here on this slate that aren't gaining nearly as much attention as the guys we've talked about already?
All right. So let me sort my forward exposure and see who I think is being a little bit overlooked. So there's a couple guys with single digit ownership that I have double digit exposure to. One right now is Klay Thompson. So Klay has not had big games recently. And in fact, he's looked a step slow coming back from injuries, which it probably shouldn't be that surprising. He's over the age of 30. We hadn't seen him play in 2.5 years, tore his Achilles, tore his ACL. But his usage is still pretty significant if you look at some of his recent games. The game against Dallas on March 3rd, 33% usage rate. Some other games where we've seen with a 35% usage rate against the Lakers, 25%, 28% usage rate against OKC, also a 27% game against the Knicks. So there's still games where we're seeing Klay Thompson put the shot volume up. And I do think he has some of those games in him still where he could have one of those games where it's like, oh my God, look, Klay Thompson just scored 24 points in a quarter and he scored a ton of fantasy points really quick. So on a slate like this, where I'm just kind of by force to play more mid-range guys than I normally would play, I do view Klay as being one of the higher upside mid-range plays because the usage is still there for him. And I still think he's able to shoot the ball. Like I think we're going to see some of those bigger Klay games down the stretch as he gets further removed from his offseason injuries. So Klay to me, not like a crazy high priority play, but I am about double the field on him. And I see the path to upside considering his recent usage.
Well, the exact case you made for Klay Thompson, I'm going to make for Andrew Wiggins. He stayed home. He was all set to go here. 6,400 for him over on the DraftKings slate, a little bit cheaper than Klay Thompson, and been involved in all facets of the game here of late. He got in foul trouble last time out, so 5 fouls, still got to 33 fantasy points, but I think he could be a guy who ends up having some untapped potential here. So Andrew Wiggins, kind of a guy in that same scenario with all these guys coming back from Denver over here. Maybe the starters see a little extra minutes. So I'll get to a little bit more Klay Thompson here as well. I'm with you there, but Andrew Wiggins, also a guy that I'm getting to nearly triple the field on as it stands right now in that mid-range, a little bit cheaper than Klay too. So I like the case that you made. I'm just making it for the other guy on his team. Wendell Carter Jr., I'm not really getting to here on this slate. I think he's going a little bit overrepresented at 7,700. I know that Jalen Suggs is out, but that's not going to affect him nearly as much as, if you had a Mo Bamba or something of that nature out. I'm looking at some of these other guys. Lauri Markkanen is not really projecting out that well for us at 5,700. Is there anybody else that you really want to talk about that you think is going overrepresented at forward?
Just one more low-owned shout out. Marcus Morris is only projected for 2% ownership against the Golden State Warriors. And another one, too, the Clippers have been in some really, really lopsided games as of late. So last time against the Knicks, 116-93 is the final score. We only end up getting 23 minutes out of Marcus Morris. The game before that, 132-111 against the Lakers. That was a game where the Clippers, they outscored the Lakers by like 30 points in the third quarter of that game. So we don't really get to see Marcus Morris in the fourth quarter. There only plays 21 minutes. Totally fluke outcomes. I think we go right back to seeing Marcus Morris around the 30-minute mark. And he's another guy who is capable of putting up a good amount of upside. So honestly, where I have to play guys in the mid-range, I have around 10% of Marcus Morris. It's not a ton, but that's, it's 5x the field when he's projected for 2% ownership.
All right, Jeff Williams, $5 super chat. I have 6,800 left for my utility spot on DK, and for cash, already playing Ayton. Any suggestions? He's leaning towards Cole Anthony or Desmond Bane.
All right, 6,800. Let me see who I have projected the highest there. Well, a lot of the guys I have projected highly there are well below that price point. So Bobby Portis, Kevin Love, Klay Thompson be another one. I don't know how cool I'd feel about playing him in cash games, though. Certainly not Jaron Jackson Jr. in cash games. Screw that guy and his foul troubles.
Screw you guys. Yeah. I'm going home, but I'm playing him on FanDuel.
Yeah, that is a death sentence. Play him in a cash game, though. Jaron Jackson Jr. Yeah, I guess Cole Anthony does make the most sense at 6,800. There's no Jalen Suggs that shores up his minutes a little bit. So that's the answer I'll go with. I think that's a good option you have there.
All righty. And with one more super chat here, Jake Lindland, DK, already have Love and Payne, 5,700 left for a utility there. And then I promise I'll get to that center one that we have next.
So he is Love and Payne and needs 5,700.
Yes, sir.
All right, 5,700. Already has Payne.
And yes, I said fouls. I apologize to everybody involved. It comes out once in a while.
Scrolling. So the guy I've projected next would be Lauri Markkanen. And also considering how, well, he didn't say if this is a cash game or not. For cash games, I would the answer for me is going to be Markkanen kind of regardless. So I don't really think there's that many guys in that price range to want to get to.
All right. Uzi. Good to see you, Uzi. Always appreciate it. $5 super chat from our friend Brogdon, CJ, Garland, pick 2 for FanDuel single entry. So that's Brogdon, McCollum, or Garland for you, Greg.
Brogdon, Garland, McCollum, pick 2. So that's Garland is the easy number 1 for me, but I'll go McCollum too.
See, you had to do it. You knew that I would be disappointed. And I also know that I'd be disappointed if you guys didn't hang out for this half an hour we have going on after the show for Jock Market. So it's fantasy sports turned into the stock exchange. If you want to make money every minute, every second of every hour, you can do it over at Jock Market, playing all of their sports they offer over there. NFL just got over. MLB may never happen again, but NHL is for sure going. NBA, obviously, and PGA once again for that Players Championship we have going this weekend. There's a pregame IPO phase, which is going on right now. There's 18 minutes left in it. You're going to want to try to jump over there and get some shares of some players. Go sign up using promo code Awesemo to get $100 bonus on your first deposit. But you go to that pregame IPO, you pick up shares of players, and you have an opportunity to be able to buy and sell them for a little bit of a markup as the games are going on. If somebody goes off to a really hot start, you can lock in a profit right then and there. If you want to buy players that aren't doing as well in the early going and buy low on them, you can do that as well. Or if somebody gets in early foul trouble, pick up shares of a player who's the backup. That's going to be how you do it over at Jock Market. And that's going to be what Greg and I do after this show. We'll, of course, react to news. We have CJ McCollum waiting in the wings, so we're not leaving you high and dry for DFS. We never do, but we're going to be talking a lot of Jock Market. Really fun to play over there. I know Greg's been smashing over there here of late too. Really sharp if you are astute to your news. And I know all of you guys, all 3.3K of you watching in chat, are taking one step by watching us, being able to stay apprised to all the news as it's happening in real time. But his analysis will help you get there. Plus, if it's your first market, if you've never played on Jock Market before, you'll get up to $100 refunded at the end of the market. So it's $100 for a bonus that you'll get by using promo code Awesemo. And then $100 is guaranteed to get reimbursed of any of your losses in that first market. So it's really kind of a win-win-win as it goes. So check out our free Jock Market IPO projections at awesemo.com. Go to the NBA tab, go down to projections and see the Jock Market projections. Stop guessing, start winning. Join us here at Awesemo, but do it in order to win over at Jock Market. Thank you so much to them for their sponsorship of the Live Before Lock show. All right, my friend, 16 minutes to go. I promised that I would get back to that center question. Your favorite center play on FanDuel for single entry to get the position kicked off?
It has to be Andre Drummond over on FanDuel. He's so cheap. LaMarcus Aldridge isn't in the picture. Now, the same conversation we've had about Andre Drummond a whole bunch of times is that he could very easily play himself off the court from a real life perspective. But in fantasy terms, he's a really good fantasy producer when he's on the court, even at this point in his career. And he's just so cheap on FanDuel that I think the upside way outweighs the risk here. So I think that he's the best center play over on FanDuel. He's also going to be very popular, but I think it's warranted. There's no LaMarcus Aldridge for the Nets. It is way different looking at him on FanDuel versus DK because FanDuel is only 4,500. But once again, I think the answer is Drummond there. Do you have any reservations about playing Drummond at 4,500 on FanDuel?
I don't know. I mean, it's really uncomfortable. I mean, if I was doing for single entry, yes. I mean, he's going to be popular over there, 25%. At least you're not asking me cash because I would never play him in cash. I think that's just asking for a problem. I would find a way to get onto Ayton. I think even at 7,300 over on FanDuel, on DraftKings, Ayton's going to fit into lineups a little bit easier over there than anywhere else. But, you know, on FanDuel, I think you're able to play some of these power forwards over there, and that has a ton of utility because you can play Mobley, you can play Kevin Love, you can play a number of those guys. I think that they're going to be more secure. But if you're talking pure upside, there's no doubt that if Andre Drummond gets to 20 minutes, that he has enough upside to pay off. And there's not a huge opportunity cost at this position. But I think Ayton is still probably the overall best play that you're looking at that's going to be center only over on FanDuel. Let's kind of open up to the rest of the position. DeAndre Ayton, I know you've been high on him. I think I was probably under projecting him. I'd taken a longer look at him after you had recommended him the last couple slates. And, you know, his points prop hasn't exactly gone nuts, but we saw 19 shot attempts last game, working a little bit in the two-man game with Cameron Payne. That was things you love to see if you're going to roster a ton of both of them. Are you going back to the Ayton well today?
Yeah, I've been on Ayton every game since Chris Paul and Devin Booker have been out. And I mean, you just look at the situation for the Suns team, and I get that he had that one game that really sucked against the Knicks where I don't even know what happened that game. He had 8 points and 3 rebounds. The other 2 games, though, and especially because you referenced his point prop, he did hit the over on his point prop in the other 2 games. So I have bet the over on all 3 of his points props since we've had no Chris Paul and Devin Booker. He's hitting 2 or 3 of them. And last game, 29% usage rate. First game, 22% usage rate. There was that weird game against the Knicks where you're 13% usage rate. I just think if you look at the outlook of the rest of this team, he has to carry the offense. There just aren't that many high ups. So the Suns are still a really good team without Booker and Paul, but they don't have scores. And I kind of think that's something that Ayton just has to carry the load. And maybe last game will even make them realize that more, because a 29% usage rate with 30 points in a tough matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks, it's pretty impressive.
Brandon Ingram ruled out. We have a ton of super chats to get to. I will do that here in 2 seconds. One, just give me your initial reaction to that.
I'm curious to see the starting lineup because I really do not know who they're going to start in this place.
It's got to be Devontae Graham, right?
No. It could be. It doesn't have to be.
If it's not, I'm going to be sad because I'm going to play a lot of him here. But yes, News God, thank you so much. He is out for tonight in Memphis. That is going to make CJ McCollum look really, really good at 8,600 on FanDuel. Yeah, people are probably going to have more time to be able to get to him. There's 13 minutes here before lock, but let's get to it. Jorge Yacom, $20 super chat with no message. Let me see. Does he have any message there? I don't see one. That is super nice. We've got Mr. Joe at $3.10, $2 Drummond minutes projection ?
Tough one. It's a tough one. I could tell you I gave Andre Drummond 24 minutes, and that makes him look really good. And it is not hard to envision a scenario where he starts the game well and plays more than 24 minutes, particularly against a team in Charlotte that does not have good front court defense.
Yeah, News God, you're always keeping us apprised of everything. I appreciate you, my guy. Ligarian Bridgewater, $2, Garland or Ball on DK cash game.
That is Ball for me.
8 game with an $8 super chat. That seems appropriate. We appreciate you. You've been smashing of late. Shout out to 8 game. See all the Twitter screenshots you've been smashing. What center should I lock into 100% of my DraftKings lineups? Eric and Greg? None of them.
If it had to be one, it would be DeAndre Ayton, though. It's an egregious price point. If it has to be one, it's Ayton. And as Eric will tell you, you want it to be in the first game of the slate as well.
You do. You really do. So you can have no swappability and just be set for the 70 points from Drummond. You know what? It works. Keith Carruth. That's a great name. Fave value on FanDuel, not named Nowara.
Cameron Payne.
Jorge gave us another $20 super chat in order to ask a question. Oh, of course, Snell starting. Mother effer. Come on.
Told you it didn't have to.
See, I knew it. I know I wanted it to be so bad, though. I said when we were talking about it that Snell made sense too, and I just didn't want it. But here we go. Thoughts on large DraftKings GPP cheap options like Devontae Graham, Cody Martin, and RJ Hampton? ? Tony Snell has had a propensity to play lots of minutes in spots like this, and maybe they are just going to put Devontae Graham on the side of the bench. I'm still going to take shots on him. I'm still going to try to make Devontae Graham at 3,700 pop a little bit, but not nearly as much with him not starting here. Tony Snell there. So rank those, just talk about your favorite cheap options that aren't Shamet.
So let's see. So thoughts on large DraftKings GPP cheap options like Devontae.
It's not Tony Snell night, Jordan Clyde. Don't even say that.
So I mean, I still of the players you gave me, I like RJ Hampton the most of those, but I still think Devontae Graham, even though he's not starting, is worth being in our player pool. I'm curious to see if we get an updated projection on him right before lock, an updated ownership projection, because he was only, we just did get it. Okay, there we go. Ask and you shall receive.
Incredible.
1 minute ago. Where's Graham? He still project for 1% ownership.
Yeah. Let's see here. Got this.
At 1%, I'd like to take shots on Devontae Graham.
Yeah. I'm going to keep playing a little bit of Devontae Graham. I'm just nervous about it. It obviously feels a lot worse now than what it felt like before I saw that line. It's just brutal. I thought we were going to have a really good play there. We do not have a good play there, but he might still work out for us here. Anybody else that you see being a major benefit with the absence of Brandon Ingram?
Yeah, so CJ McCollum certainly benefits here. So like I was saying before, I still am going to prefer getting to LaMelo Ball and Darius Garland, but I'm going to go from having almost no exposure to CJ McCollum to probably like 15 to 20% of him on DraftKings, even at 9,100.
All righty. Let's keep anything else at center for you here. We talked about Ayton. Does Jonas Valanciunas become a guy that you might take a longer look at here as well in the absence, maybe a little bit more usage up for grabs?
So it looks like I have him projected for right around 40 fantasy points. And that's not bad from a points per dollar perspective. I'm not sure if that is going to be enough for me to get to him at like a high clip on DraftKings. Jackson Hayes also, I think there's potential for the Pelicans to play bigger lineups. I know you've liked playing Jackson Hayes at times in the past. He's somebody else that I think stands to gain a little bit of extra usage and playing time here. So he also makes sense. You know, it's not one guy I look at from the Pelicans and be like, oh, that's the guy for the team. But it's kind of across the board, everybody getting a couple extra minutes, some more usage. And as a result, I do think that a lot of these guys look good on a points per dollar basis, even if there isn't one where I'm like, oh, that is the guy I need to roster.
I agree with you there. All right, friends, we are going to fly here. We've got 8 minutes to go to get lineups in. Lakers fan with $1, just cuz. We appreciate you, Lakers fan. You're probably not having the best of years. We got all the super chats caught up with. Get your lineups in. 7 minutes to go here. We will get flying here. I'm updating everything else here on my end. Anything that you really want the people to know here before we start taking questions that you think just is something you're noticing in your lineups as you're getting them in?
So somebody else that's popping up in my lineups that I didn't really think about all that much, but Herbert Jones now at 4,600. He is becoming more of a high priority play than I thought he was going to. So he looks like somebody who's going to be in like 20% of my lineups or so.
Yeah, on FanDuel, I'm getting to quite a bit of him here.
He's
identical
he's
number.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah, he's 4,600 both sites. I like him a little bit more on FanDuel. Just think about that, the floor, the way that works out. He's got small forward eligibility on DK, which is maybe a little bit helpful. I suppose you have Nwora. That might be somebody that I don't think he's going to take anything away from it too much. I really like the Herbert Jones shout out. Rookies, they can definitely spike some of these games as they get more acclimated to playing in the NBA as the season goes along. And he's definitely, he had the game winner. He's looked really good on the defensive side of the ball. No doubt about it. Offensively, it's been a struggle at times, but I like that shout out for sure. Say we got 6 minutes left to go. Let's get to it here. Questions we have here. Pain and love. We already talked about that. Thoughts on a McCollum assist prop at 6.5 on FanDuel at Greg Ehrenberg?
Let's see, 6.5 assists for McCollum. That's a very fair number in my opinion. It's not something. It's not. I wouldn't bet the over the under. That would just be a pass for me.
Yep, that's going to be a pass for me too. Jake Lindland again. DK GPP Ayton, Crowder, Graham, or Claxton, Nwora, CJ. All right, so Ayton, Crowder, Graham, or Claxton, Nwora, CJ.
Let me find okay, here we go. Ayton, Crowder, Graham. Well, I don't really like Claxton today, but I like Nwora and McCullough. That's going to be Ayton, Crowder, and Graham for me.
Yeah, man, I'm getting to so much Jackson Hayes on FanDuel now.
I don't have an issue with that.
Okay. Just making sure that I'm not doing something that's just really untowards there, that it's just a mistake. I don't think it is, though.
Yeah. Well, it depends what you mean by a lot. Like if he's in more than like half your lineups, that's
no. 33%. I mean, on the number, that's just a large number.
The other thing too, with Tony Snell starting, because he does nothing, that's extra usage for everybody else in that lineup. Like that's something I didn't really consider what could happen if Tony Snell starts. That just has to mean a little bit more shot time goes to McCollum, Valanciunas, just because Snell is a 0 in the usage department.
Right. Yeah, Snell is terrible. Jordan Klein out there posting absolute blasphemy on Twitter. Go follow him at what is your handle? I don't even care, because he's posting Tony Snell just massive What?
Is he doing his stupid thing about his shooting percentage?
I don't get it. Why do you like that so much?
He's the only member of the 200 club.
Yeah, cool. Exist. You know who else would be? Anybody else who shot 3 times in a season.
There's a description. It says minimum of 100 shots for the year.
So. Oh my God! There's so many shots over the course. That's an average of barely over 1 shot per game, Jordan.
We got 3K of you guys in here. I have one more question for you, Greg. Let's say Isaiah Roby gets ruled out now. What do you do?
Start crying. I don't know. Like, is there a proper response? It's something. I don't think it would impact my lineups that heavily if he got ruled out right now. I would still prefer a lot of the guys that I have.
Yeah, I probably would too. I mean, Olivia Saw, not Olivia Osaw. Harry Potter. Do you watch Harry Potter?
I have at one point in time, but no, I didn't. I don't. Whatever that reference was. Did you know that reference, Jordan? Whatever it was he just said.
Yeah, he does.
All right, good for you guys.
Look at him. Good. Well, good for Happy Gilmore. My God.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the final version of my lineups uploaded, and I'm talking about Harry. Like I'm not in the Harry Potter reference mindset.
A little bit of that for you. Oh.
Yeah, you're right on tune. Start playing the piano. Can you do the Harry Potter theme song?
I can. I can play some serious piano. Look at him. Oh, what would your wand be made out of? What would your wand be made out of, Mr. Jordan Klein? I feel like you would be. What was the dragon from Goblet of Fire? The one that it's like the Ridgeback, the Belgian Ridgeback, or something like that. That would be you. I hate that I know the type of dragon, but I guess that probably doesn't surprise a lot of people in chat that I would know that. You know what? Smash the like button for us and our complete nerdiness and ridiculousness as we jump over to the jock market portion. I'm letting Greg get his final version of the lineups in.
My lineups are good. I'm good now.
There we go. See, this is teamwork. It makes the dream work. My dog keeps going behind me too. Hey, buddy, where'd you go? I don't know where he went.
What is he up to?
Oh, just absolute Hungarian horntail. That's the one. Thank you so much, chat. Hey, asking you shall receive. Hey, buddy, what's up? He's just living his best life. Do we need Duke Cam?
Go. Throw him on. Was he doing shitting on the carpet while we're trying to get our lineups uploaded? Oh, this is very exciting. So every time I see he gets so much bigger every time I say him. That's my godson. Put him on mic.
Say hi, Duke. Hey, buddy.
Ask him what he's going to do when Isaiah Roby gets ruled out.
Look how much bigger this dude is. It's been like a month and a half, and he already weighs 40 pounds. He's just going to be a unit. He is definitely going to play center. He's an Andre Drummond, only good at basketball, right?
What does he eat?
Eats a lot of like chicken kibble. Oh, he is a big boy, though. Okay, you want to...
That was totally worth it. Hey, you know what's coming up next, guys? The Jock Market show. So if you guys sign up for Jock Market, which Eric and I are going to be talking about for the next 30 minutes, you guys stick around, sign up for Jock Market, use the promo code Awesemo when you sign up, get up to a $50 bonus on your first deposit. So check out Jock Market, download the app, and I think Duke has already ran out and started placing some Jock Market bids. I did the read already.
So we're going to go to Jock Market here and act like nothing just happened. I think we're good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Unfortunately.
Whoa. That was really rude and aggressive, actually.
Hey, what could we trying to keep the show going here, Eric?
Projects X Steel. You know what, Chandra? I really appreciate that comment because that shows an intellect, but I'm a dynamic old tour issue guy for life. It's going to be impossible to get out of that golf club. It just is. But that was a very smart comment. Don't want it to go overlooked, but he just did the read. So he knows, you guys know what to do. Just go download promo code Awesemo, use it.
You know what? You should have done to seem more impressive. You should have been like, oh my God, the dog weighs 100 pounds now, and just picked him up like he weighed less than 100 pounds. I'm just saying that would have really impressed the YouTube chat.
Yeah. You know what, though? He feels like it's 100 pounds already. So I just gave his actual weight because we got back from the vet and he was like 37 pounds. I gave him a week and a half. It's like another 3. I mean, it is crazy how much bigger he gets. Hey, buddy. Yeah, he's living his best life. But that was enjoyable. I'm a KBS guy myself. I know you are, Jordan Klein. By the way, Jordan Klein, very underrated golfer. That's for sure. Let's pull up these pregame IPO projections. Duke, you're fine. And then let's cover some jock market.
Okay, so here's what we got to do. We're gonna read off some names. When Duke barks, that's who we have to bid on.
All right, fair.
All right, so let's look at some of the New Orleans Pelicans players, because those are the guys right away that I would think probably have some of the best value.
Herbert Jones is up to 427. That's going to be a no.
Yeah.
Devontae Graham is 335. No, thanks.
Especially with the missed shots being negative points over on Jock Market.
Yeah, let's do it. I see what you did there. That was funny. Devontae Graham, Brickyard.
No, but I was being serious because people should know that missed shots are negative fantasy points over on Jock Market, and that is something Devontae Graham does a good amount of.
Which is why Jokic is just the nuts on there every single night, because he shoots 80%. It's absurd. Oh, Knuckly Jokic, we want to roster him.
So too bad we can't bid on Jokic. Any of these other nights, if Duke would have barked for Jokic, it would have gone really well because he's just been smashing lately.
Is Payne seriously 83% on DK? Is that a true statement from Ashley Petrillo?
Let's
appreciate you, but my Lord, is that a lot of ownership?
Let's see. Let me
holding that up here while we're at it too.
Yeah, I'm loading the contest stuff.
Oh, sure is 82.93%. That's higher than just about anybody I can ever remember on a 4+ game slate. Like legitimately, we've had guys that were like 3K. We've had a 3K boogie night where he didn't get up to 83%.
That was also a slate, though, where that was a late swap situation, if I remember correctly.
Not the one like last week, not the one where he.
No. But I'm saying earlier in the year also there was it was a late swap one. We got him.
That's true.
At like reasonable ownership.
Oh, that was an enjoyable day. Always boogie. Can't roster him either. We just got the exact Grizzlies lineup we would expect. But looking at Jock Market here, I'm trying to find a Pelican that I really want to be investing in. CJ McCollum is 1099. We can't really be doing that either.
We have the fair IPO price projected at 1070. So
that's not so bad.
No, but I mean, I want good value,
want smashes.
Not fair value.
Correct. Again, we get these projections free. So head on over to NBA projections. No CJ McCollum for us, Duke. That's not going to happen here.
Okay, here's one that he should be barking for right at the top. Giannis Antetokounmpo. His asking price is $835 right now. 18. Sorry, not 835. 1835. We have his fair IPO price projection at $20.30. Considering the massive gap between him and everybody else at the high end today, I like getting shares of Giannis Antetokounmpo because at that price, you only need him to be one of the top 2 scoring players on the slate to return positive value. And I think it's very likely is at least one of the top 2 scorers when I have such a big gap between him and everybody else.
I think that's a good call. I think Giannis is a guy I'm going to get some shares of here as well. And watching that game live, he's also not a guy who's going to be out there chucking from 3 that you're going to get a 2 for 11 game that's going to sink you anytime soon. He's a guy that can get really, really hot there. Steph Curry would be somebody I want to invest in. I just get this feeling he's going to eviscerate the Clippers tonight. I got a lot of them on FanDuel. Less so on DK, just hard to get up to that 11K number when you have CJ McCollum, LaMelo Ball, all guys I want to play a lot more here. Moving our way down here, Mobley's down at $9. That is a crazy number to be looking at for him as well. Trying to find some value here. I mean, we might have something that shows up. I can't imagine Roby. I mean, Roby could be a guy that we could get some shares of, but Pokashevsky, I think 516 for him there, or Baisley 460 for him. Both of them really stand out as guys that I'm okay getting shares of. If you get Roby off the floor, I'd kind of want to react to that one quickly.
So Roby, let's see. Baisley is, what's the asking price for him now? The problem is the asking price. The asking price for Baisley is $460 right now. We have the fair IPO price at $2.20. So let's see, $460. How many fantasy points do we need for that to be? Yeah, not happening. Here are the guys that we currently have projected with a fair asking price for around $460. Jaron Jackson Jr. and Klay Thompson. So we would have to have Baisley projected for the same amount of fantasy points as those guys to be worth that kind of asking price. That's a no for me.
Jazzy J, we know the most expensive player on the slate is probably a good play. Stop talking about the obvious. This is horrible analysis. You're gonna just take a seat for a second. It's all relative to what the price is. If Giannis was $23, he would be a terrible investment. He would be an awful investment because you're basically paying all of that in order to have a $2 outcome. Like there's legitimate numbers that go into it that are beyond just saying this guy's a great play or an awful play. Oh, he's the best play of the slate. He's not going to be the highest owned play of the slate. I can tell you that. So there's people who don't play him in 100% of lineups or things of that nature. So just relax. We got this covered. And plus, if you stay here long enough, we understand that Greg's going to give you guys the best analysis possible. And plus, Duke just barked for Giannis, so it's a smash.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That's how we do analysis here at Awesemo.com.
Yep, I just bought some shares of Giannis. So let's see, I have 19 shares of Giannis at an average cost of $18.49. I'm happy with that. We have the fair IPO price projected at $20.30. So I think I got good value there.
I think you got great value. Well done, Greg.
So based on where I've got shares of Giannis, basically, if he finishes third, if he's the third highest fantasy score on the slate, we break even. If he's the first or second highest score, we make money on that. And then it would be a slight loss if he was the fourth or fifth highest score. Like, what are the odds, unless something crazy happens, that Giannis isn't one of the top 5 scoring players on the slate?
It would take something insane for that to happen. There's no doubt about it. He's an absolute smash. He's an absolute smash. He's projected by a large, on Jock Market specifically, where you have missed shots as a part of the analysis. I mean, it's 9. You were talking about him being projected difference of like 9 or 8 fantasy points from Kevin Durant. It just makes all the sense in the world to jam Giannis here at this number.
I like how Eric is muting himself now to he's really muting. It's not Eric muting himself. Eric is muting Duke when he presses that button. I'm kind of impressed how loud his bark is picked up on the mic, though.
Neil Orfield saying that he wants more Duke. I mean, this is insanity. My wife.
Is he hungry? What does he want?
I don't know what he wants. This is the first time we've ever had to do a show where my wife wasn't here, and he's losing his mind.
All right, let's see. Have the game started yet? Have we gotten any tip-offs yet? Let's see.
It's team. Sit, stay. Good dog. There we go. Now we got him a little relaxed. Yeah, my dog is losing it. He wants to be heard.
I like to think that Duke is not even in the room right now, and Eric's just giving him commands to be like, oh, look, he listens to me. He's not barking, but it's just because he went in the other room to do something.
I hope not. I really hope not. Because, yeah, it's one of those things, you have both of us working, and this is the very, very first time that I've ever had to do a show where she wasn't here, and he is failing the test. That's for sure.
Yeah, he did. He
had
did
a last-second emergency.
He did good for the important part of the show, though.
He did. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Duke. You're doing so well, buddy. You're doing so well. Just to ask him, Duke is telling you Timmy has fallen into the well. Timmy, let's go. That is so good. The Daily Scrum News.
Wow. What a terrific audience. Wow. All right, let's see. None of the games have started yet, by the way.
Okay. This is I've done 50 impressions, and yet Greg has the best impression in the one that he's ever done on this show before. That is bullshit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That is such crap. Yes.
Well, here's the other thing too, is that so Eric, while Eric is an actor, I've also done a lot of sketch acting and a lot of live comedy. A lot. So I've had to do a lot of it too. I just, I take these shows are very seriously. I only talk the truth on these shows, Eric.
All right. Well, I think we got him settled down here a little bit. He's actually like calmed down to a certain extent. I just keep petting his head, Life is all right. You're going to have to help with some of the chalk market analysis here. We're 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes to go. Smash the like button because we are overcoming everything on this show. We're getting some late news. We've got some stuff, people trolling in the chat, which I always love. It kind of shows if you don't have haters, you don't have a good thing going. I can tell you that much. Yeah. Jordan Klein. That's how it works. And a whole bag of potato chips. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only, by the way, what is it?
Fire.
Jordan
Show the people.
candy?
The people need to see Bunch of Crunch. If there was ever a hot take, Bunch of Crunch, the best candy you get at a movie theater. And I don't think it's close. 100%. He agrees.
Yeah. See, this is upsetting for me because I'm not supposed to eat sugar. I can't eat dairy. So there's really not that much that I'm allowed to eat when I go there. Have you seen the Batman?
I have not seen the Batman yet. I have a dog that just needs constant attention. I need somebody to come watch it. So if somebody wants to come babysit, I'll go watch the Batman some night.
All right. I'm putting on, we've got the game just started. So it's Nets, Hornets, Pacers, Cavs, and Phoenix, Orlando. I put on Phoenix, Orlando. That one seems to be the game that's going to be most fantasy relevant for all of us. We've got massive chalk on DeAndre Ayton, Cameron Payne. So,
we're both massively overweight to LaMelo Ball, so I'm gonna keep that one on.
Oh, fair point. So the problem though also is that since Brooklyn is in my market, I have to, it's a pain in the ass to watch it on the NBA League Pass.
That makes sense, dude. NBA League Pass. Can we just figure out what's going on? If I'm in the market, just put on the market feed. I don't get the problem with that. I don't get it. Just
all right. I had to close it. I started to lag once the game started streaming, so I closed it real quick.
Demetrius Johnson, $4.99. How would you guys feel if Giannis gets ruled out for rest back to back? I'd feel not good. Not good is how I'd feel.
Yeah. So, a couple of things would happen. Number one, I would immediately have to sell all of my shares of on Jock Market as quickly as possible. Number two, we also have to change our DFS lineups because then all of a sudden, exactly, Duke, Drew Holiday, excellent play. Jordan Nwora, what's more than 100%? How do I find a way to play 150% Jordan Nwora if there's no Giannis? But Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton both become really obvious plays. And as far as Jock Market goes, also guys I want to buy shares of.
Oh, campaign out there chucking DeAndre Ayton 4 points and a rebound already. Phoenix is up 10-2. This is just the train that keeps on moving, regardless of anything. The Phoenix Suns are out of their damn minds. It's just insane to watch.
By the E-Rush asking, who watches League Pass? Somebody who watches basketball. What am I?
What else are you going to do?
So somebody blocked me on Twitter earlier, which that's whatever. I probably deserved it. But that aside, there's this thing too, where if you state any kind of statistic online, that's any kind of advanced stat that isn't points per game, people are like, oh, you're a nerd who doesn't watch basketball. No. I watch a lot of basketball, which is the reason I have League Pass also. Right. I have to watch the games somehow.
Yogi, everybody with a job. Everybody with a job has League Pass. Yes, because it's how you watch basketball. That's what you do.
Watch it.
What do you mean?
Watch it that is illegal, Addy Yogi. I wouldn't on the internet. I wouldn't admit that you stream stuff.
Yeah. How dare you? Oh, I see what you're saying. There's that. All right, we got 16 minutes to go. Once again, 1.6K of you guys hanging out here with us, talking some hoops. Hit that like button, subscribe button for Duke, for the dog food, if for nothing else here. This little rascal is just not settling down. This is just next level over here. I'm getting eaten alive. Stop it.
Yeah. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel so we too can make $1 million on YouTube and buy dog food for Duke.
Do we even want to go down this path? Do we want to go down
as well?
This
We've got,
today?
what do we have? We have
Greg Ehrenberg. I feel like you have some thoughts and opinions on such things. I don't think the people understand what's happening. Jordan Klein. He's just left.
Jordan just left. But I don't even know if the
just left.
I don't even know if does Chad even get that reference? I know that people within our circle know what we're talking about when it comes to somebody making $1 million on YouTube. But I don't know if enough people get the reference for us to even riff on it. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
Rinpack. Should I join the
answers.
stream at Jordan Klein? I think Rinpack has some thoughts and opinions about such things. I don't know. Greg, you're the boss. If you want Rinpack on a show, you can do it.
Yeah, well, I think Ryan, I mean, as we found out in our group chat, Ryan will stop at nothing to make money. He doesn't care if he has to rug people on NFTs. He'll run a Ponzi scheme like Bernie Madoff. It's all about the bucks and the commas. Ryan has no regards. Let's see. Has anybody answered? Yeah. Some people have Dollarooskies. People know what we're talking about here. People know what we're talking about.
They do know. Do you think he made $1 million? Duke, yes, you do? Oh, that's interesting.
Well, how do you know? That sounded more like a no to me than a yes, to be honest.
Yes or no? Yes. No.
Can you bring him on? Can you bring him on camera for this?
Yeah, come here.
All right, this will settle my.
Yes. Oh,
please knock over the mic. Please knock over the mic again.
Knock over the mic. Yeah. All right, here we go.
What
are we thinking?
Duke, if you knock over the mic, then it means no way did he make $1 million Rooskies.
Do we make $1 Rooskies? Hang on. The first bite. Yes or no? Oh, just eating my arm is the answer.
I don't know if
I
don't know that. Oh, by the way, Ryan is saying that Drummond just got hurt.
Oh, that's bad. So hang on. Let's get some shares of some players. This is the jock market portion. This is what we're here to do.
Is
James Johnson season or Nicholas Claxton? That's what I was getting at.
Let's see. Is Ryan trolling us though, or is this true?
254. Eric, can you not handle your dog? No, I really cannot. He's massive.
We've made it very clear that he cannot.
By Claxton. So that's literally Rinpack saying, just go do it. So we're going to do that. I'm buying 20 shares of Nicholas Claxton right now. And I will send the bill to Ryan if I don't get it.
Yeah, he got hit in the face. Is that was it a bad looking injury though? Like hit in the face doesn't sound.
I'm just trusting him.
Hit in the face doesn't sound that. It doesn't sound that bad unless was he bleeding?
Guess.
Did he bleed his own
literally
blood?
No idea. Everybody's saying Drummond out. No, Drummond got smacked in the face.
All right, I'm gonna scroll Twitter, see if I can find
324 is now the ask price. That went way up.
Let's see. Drummond
329.
Oh yeah, he is bleeding.
Yep, I'm gonna get some more shares. Go. I got 5 shares. 329 is an overpay. That was not ideal. I got some at 268 average cost. Let's see what this ends up being. 329. Oh, I didn't get any filled there before. So 319 average cost.
Yeah. So, by the way, because Sharp is not on the NBA roster right now, the only 2 centers the Nets have available are Claxton and Griffin.
Wendell Carter Jr., 4 points, 3 rebounds, off to a really good start. I did not necessarily like that play over on DraftKings as much as 7,700. Didn't really project out well for us. Mobley, 11.6. What a smash.
Oh, so I just pulled up Odd Shopper also. Want to hear a goofy bet? Goofy bet, but good value. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Devontae Graham over 0.5 blocks for plus 750. We have that with a 40% projected ROI. It doesn't have the highest likelihood of hitting, but once again, it's a plus 750 prop. Devontae Graham's going to be out there for a few extra minutes with the team being shorthanded. So that does look like a pretty positive ROI bet. Far from a lock, but a plus 750. It does look like it's something with value.
Drummond's back in.
Did you get trolled by Rinpack?
Rinpack? Seriously?
Drummond's back in. Oh, you have been had. You know what he probably did? He probably sold you his shares. He probably bought shares, marked them up, and knew he was passing them off to you.
Yeah, this is my least favorite stream ever. Like legitimately, I've got a dog that keeps freaking out. I've got Greg over there, better at impressions than me with his 1 to my 50, and I've got Jordan Klein who doesn't want to talk about a very important issue to the DFS community. I would say that That's a problem. I mean, there's a million ways to make $1 million on the YouTube streets, and we should discuss all of them.
The easiest way to do it is screwing over your friends in real time. That's what I've always said about YouTube. The easiest way is you screw over your friends in real time with false information. That's the way to go ahead and do it. He got you. You've been had.
Yeah. Slate sucker. Hang on, Chad counts. God, why are you guys all assholes today? I don't understand. I feel like a pretty nice, orderly individual, and you guys are just saying mean things. It's not the way that you want to live your life.
I'm telling you, the way you get it back, though. Devontae Graham plus 750 to pick up a block today.
All right. I like that. I'm going to Odd Shopper. I'm going to fire that up here as well. You know, all of these Pelicans, it's kind of an interesting best projected ROI. Looks like the Pellies. I mean, that can't be it. The only thing that's popping up there. Oh, all the props are off the board now. The C is silent. That would make a lot of sense. Because if you go there now, that's the only one that shows up in terms of the ranking of it. By the way, somehow the Orlando Magic are up 3 now. I don't know what happened since we've been talking, but that flipped pretty quickly.
Yeah, so let's see. Live results that we have right now. I'll pull up the games. So the Nets, what a low-scoring game. 9-6. And this is going to make our shares of Giannis look that much better. 5.5 minutes into the game, Durant, 2 points and an assist. You have to think that puts Giannis in even a higher spot to outpace Durant. We've got LaMelo has 4 points and 2 rebounds. He's the only person doing anything for the Hornets. Nobody else doing anything from the Nets. Pacers have 2 points 4 minutes into that game. So 9-2. Mobley, 5 points, 3 boards, and a steal. Let's see. What do we have in Magic Suns? Ayton off to a strong start with 8 points and a board. Cam Payne, 3 points, 3 assists. Over on the Orlando side, you mentioned before, Wendell Carter Jr., 9 points, 4 boards. Mo Bamba, 4 points, 6 boards.
Looking at this, DM Brian, PGA stream lives on forever. You can go check that out. And then we've got PGA Live before lock tomorrow as my dog's losing his mind again. Shamit getting his cardio in. That's kind of how Shamit works. That's why I was worried about it. So how many minutes did he? Shamit. Yep, just an assist. Does he even take one shot? He took one shot. One second. Yeah. Where are you going? Oh, I guess just to go handle his dog. All right. It is my time now to take over the show. So Eric is going to go take over. Can he get the dog trained? Like what's going on with this? Does the dog own the house? Does the dog pay rent? He's going to have to very, very soon because he just can't figure it out. He can't figure it out. Go get a job, pal. He could be a model. Can you make him one of those doggy actors? Yeah, I was going to say, absolutely. Just make him run after No, here's the problem is that you have to at least be like, hey, go this direction. He does not like to go the direction that you tell him to go. The only thing he does is sit, lay down. That's legitimately the only 2 things he knows. Lay down. Is it because he knows that commanders or because he enjoys laying down? I suppose probably both. Is there an eat command? Because maybe he'd be good at that one as well. Because he seems to be getting bigger. He can do that. I'm just going to have to pet him the whole rest of the show. I don't know what else to do. He seems like he'd be good at the bark command. Is that one of the things you could teach him? Bark. Go ahead. He's not even good at that one. There he goes. There he goes. Try one more time. Bark. 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 See, you know how I know that there we go. You know how I know that I'm related to Duke and how that I'm really his godfather because even he trolls you. Everybody in Eric's life trolls him. Everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. The hardest by far. His friends troll him. His wife trolls him. Now he got a dog that trolls him as well. Use promo code Awesemo for 100% deposit match bonus over on Jock Market. We appreciate them for hanging out with us for this extra 30 minutes of madness where I had Rinpack troll me. Not only that, Rinpack is out there trolling me, getting me to buy shares of Claxton, which, by the way, is a thing that happened, Rinpack. I bought Nicholas Claxton here because of you. So, thanks. He gotcha. 17-17. We're looking at Phoenix and Orlando. 14-9, Brooklyn and Charlotte. Cleveland up 18-10. Everybody eats against Indiana. I'll take the under in that one for 500, Alex. That's for sure. Oh, and Rip, that's kind of sad to say out loud. Goga Batadze in there early as well. That's he's kind of re-entered the rotation there here. Dean Wade doing nothing because that's what Dean Wade does. Ed Davis is on the floor. I was worried about such things. A lot of different things going on right now.
Yeah. And by the way, for people asking about Giannis, there's been no indication that he's going to sit. So not anything that I am concerned about. As for Isaiah Roby, still questionable. Last I looked, I've not seen an update on Isaiah Roby. Still questionable. If we get an update, News God will post something about it. As of right now, still the questionable tag. Remains to be seen if he plays or not.
My dog is absolutely an attention whore. There's no question about that, Loco. You are dead on. He just can't be by himself for 5 seconds. We've tried. It does not always go well. Chetty Osman, a steal. He's on the board. That's useful for me. Oh, man, it's so much fun. Be watching these games in real time, though. Again, we only get to hang out with you for half an hour. A lot of my decisions as far as getting players live, it's just kind of being able to analyze where they fit in context to like what their upside is going to be going forward. We've got guys like John Morant and CJ McCollum. If you see some guys failing, whether that's Mobley or Kevin Durant or LaMelo Ball in the early games, there's a bigger path for them later on. And you want to start getting some shares of them. If guys get in foul trouble, we want to be getting shares of guys. If they get hit in the face, theoretically, you want to get shares of their backup. That's how jock market works.
Well, like, how often does somebody get hit in the face during a basketball game and it's an actual injury?
Not very often, but I mean, Rinpack did say, I'll check the tape, but he did say, buy shares of Claxton.
He did. Hey, Landry Shamet just got a rebound and hit a 3.
That's not good for me. I ended up underweight.
I mean, he's got 3 points, a rebound, and an assist.
Oh, okay. Then I'm happy. Let's just kind of keep it that way. That would be good. I'm definitely underweight. Aaron Holiday was somebody else had brought up there earlier. I wasn't that interested here. I think he'll play enough minutes to be serviceable here, and you can obviously back up Shamet there. They're playing alongside each other at the moment. 8 and 11 points and 3 rebounds. It's almost like you're good at this, Greg.
Yeah. Who else is going to take shots for this team other than DeAndre Ayton? Who else? I know he had that one fluky game, but we're trying towards now. Ayton's going to hit the over on his points prop, as long as nothing crazy happens in 3 or 4 games without Booker and Paul.
Love it. DeAndre Ayton, well done by you there. Mikal Bridges with the steal. Useful on the FanDuel slate, that as well. 2 minutes left to go here. I'm going to be paying attention to Odd Chopper as well, kind of seeing OKC, seeing what happens to some of these props in the event that you do get Isaiah Roby ruled out. Be on the lookout for the update to the projections and such news if it drops, when it drops. Because, if he ends up playing, nothing's really all that enticing to me outside of Shea in large field tournaments here and there. But, otherwise, we might be able to find some value in a Milwaukee game that I don't expect them to keep it close, but it's definitely got a decent enough total. We should have some interest. Any final words, Greg, as we get out of here for the people, 1.2K people, smash the like button, subscribe button as we get ourselves out of here. But any final words?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're dead. If somebody gives Andre Drummond an avocado at halftime, I think you're right back in the game. Do you remember when he had that avocado? He missed like 2 weeks because he ate an avocado that one time. You're still in this.
Rinpack is throwing in Drummond had various septum issues in Detroit, and if he busted that up, would result him to leave the game. Drummond is playing with the damn. Oh, it's not good enough, Rinpack. It's not good enough. Oh, it's okay.
I'm happy, Ryan. I'm happy that you made some money selling shares of Nick Claxton to Eric.
And that's the Jock Market half hour. Thank you so much to Jordan Klein for hanging out, doing some work here, working overtime per usual, the 90-minute show. Appreciate you guys all for watching the deeper dive for the Locks Before Locks show I did with Eytan a little bit earlier. Greg Ehrenberg, get out of here. I know it's dinner time for you. It's dinner time for Duke too. We'll see you guys later.